On today's special episode of Homeworthy, we're celebrating spectacular waterfront views from around the world. We begin in the Outer Banks, where a peaceful retreat embraces local flora and fauna with thoughtful touches that mirror the surrounding landscape. In California, bold textiles and layered patterns create a vibrant frame for sweeping coastal vistas. Across the globe in Hong Kong, a harborside home comes to life with meaningful, handcrafted details and rich cultural textures. And finally, in Gulf Breeze, Florida, where a cheerful family haven captures the spirit of coastal living with breezy charm and sun-soaked style. This summer, spend the hottest months of the year in style with Homeworthy as we visit the most extraordinary homes around the world. From the sun-soaked shores of the Hamptons to the classic beachfronts of Nantucket to the vibrant courtyards of Morocco, be sure to subscribe to Homeworthy's summer series to make every day feel like a vacation. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Lauren Leese.
And I'm David Leese.
And welcome to the Dune House in the Outer Banks, North Carolina.
Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. To shop items inspired by this and other Homeworthy episodes, be sure to check out the product links below for amazing furniture, accessories, and more.
Hi, I'm David Leese.
And I'm Lauren Leese, and we are in the Outer Banks, North Carolina in the Dune House, and we are so excited to show you around. I'm an interior designer, and Dave runs the design business, and we also flip houses. So we decided we wanted to redo some houses down in the Outer Banks and flip them or rent them out. So Dune House was our very first Outer Banks renovation project that was not intended for our family. We have 5 kids, 3 boys and 2 little girls.
Do you remember their ages?
I do remember their ages, but it's just easier to say they range from 7 to 17.
I've been coming to the Outer Banks since I was 12 years old. I first got invited down, and I did not know this was also Lauren's beach town.
So I've been coming down here since I was probably 7 or 8. Both of us would go to Kerala, and we always spent 1 week. I think you guys were lucky enough to have 2 weeks in the Outer Banks ever since we were little kids. And so this was always our beach town, our beach area. And so I don't know how many years, for however many years we've been married, which at this point I can't quite remember, but we always said that we would buy a beach house in the Outer Banks. That was sort of our big dream. And for many years we just sort of perused real estate listings and would pretend that we were going to buy a house until, one weekend we finally drove down and got a little beach house. And it was a tiny beach shack, and we renovated it.
You found it online.
Found it online.
And we made an offer sight unseen.
Yes, sight unseen, and it looked like a really good deal when we saw it, which is what you have to be after when you're flipping. And we knew it was right on the ocean.
But you have to move fast.
You gotta move fast.
So it was a little scary.
Very scary. So we made an offer, and it was accepted, I think, within an hour.
Yep. And
suddenly we were looking at the fact that we owned a beach house we'd never been to before. And so we brought our 5 kids down, I think like the next weekend, to see what exactly we purchased. And when we got here, I think the deck was the biggest thing. The deck had fallen off the back of the house. I think someone had put like a baby pool on it, and there had been water damage. So it was in an extreme condition, because that's how you'd say it. And so it needed a lot of work, had a lot of water damage, but the bones were beautiful. And when we walked in the front door, it was just amazing. We could see that there were stairs when you first walked in the front door, sort of blocking the view, but we knew if we could figure out how to move those stairs, that you would walk in the front door and just get this 180 view of the water and the dunes. So we were very happy.
And I was thrilled. The house is on 10 by 10 pilings.
Yep.
So I knew even though the decking and some of the siding had been damaged, this house was so solid.
So this is our front entry, and one of the only original things in the entire house that we kept is the front door. I love the patina on it, love the finish, and could not bring myself to replace it.
It's not easy to make it work, considering how old it is.
It might leak a little sometimes.
A little bit, but it's totally worth it when you walk up and see that door knocker.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's a pretty one. This is the dining room, and it was once actually just a massive stair area. Originally, when we first saw the house, you would walk in the front door and into a large set of stairs here. And this ceiling that you're seeing was actually not there because it was stairs. You couldn't see the ocean. So one of the first things that we knew we had to do in the house was to figure out how to get these stairs out of here. So we took the stairs and we moved them over here. And with all of this extra space, we were able to add a loft above this area and create a really nice long dining space for the front entry.
And now when you walk in, the ocean is front and center.
Yes, you walk in and you just see those views. And right now is one of my favorite times of the year here because the sea oats are out and they're just blowing in the wind and they're beautiful. Love it, love it.
I thought you were going to say it's your favorite time of year because the ocean's angry.
The angry ocean is very pretty too.
In the winter and the fall, it gets pretty rough.
Yeah. So I anchored the space with a big, long, earthy oak table and then mid-century wishbone chairs around it. And because we didn't want to block the view when you first walk in the house, I wanted something massive for the space, but I needed something that wasn't going to block the view. So I went with this raffia piece here. It's massive, but also very sculpturally light. And this is one of those elements throughout the house. You'll see a lot of woven materials. I put them in every single one of the rooms. It's perfect. We have the sea oats outside, all the natural grasses around here. So raffia and jute and all those natural materials just work really, really well in this environment. Now we're going to take you to the great room. It's the heart of the home. It has these amazing 180 views. It was the reason we fell in love with the house, and we cannot wait to show you around. This area is vaulted, and so it's a 2-story space, which is really incredible. And we have 2 stories of windows, which is amazing because you can see the ocean, the dunes, the sky, and it just, is captivating and why we fell in love with the place. I will show you over here. We'll start with this fireplace. Pulled out the original tile, and you will see this raw terracotta throughout the house. It's just a really simple 4x4 tile. And David, do you want to explain the captain, Captain Herndon?
Captain Herndon. We don't actually know if it's Captain Herndon.
We
call him Captain Herndon because we found him when we lived in the town of Herndon, and the town of Herndon was named after Captain Herndon, and this is what we imagine he looked like.
He was at our local thrift store, and I loved him. And this was before we even had a beach house, so we've saved him for many years if we ever had a beach house. So we feel like Captain Herndon has finally found his home here.
I've moved him around storage units for like 10 years before he finally found a wall.
Yeah, he's super kitsch, and that is the thing I really love about what we were kind of doing in this house. I didn't want the house to be serious. I wanted it to be playful and fun and kitschy. And so we love having him in sort of a more important place because he is kind of a family joke. So it makes us very happy.
It's not a joke.
It's not a joke. Captain Herndon is not a joke. I shouldn't have said that.
Serious.
These chairs, Dave is always trying to get me to get rid of these chairs. I'm obsessed with them. They're mid-century, and
Careful.
He always thinks I'm going to break them. They don't break. They're really, really comfortable. I love them. They put you at a great lounging angle. I can't even remember where I found those, but probably at some antique shop somewhere. Here you can see we have some of the pampas grass from outside, and we brought it in throughout the house. It's so nice just to be able to cut it. We'll take you guys over here, and this is one of my favorite sofas. It's probably yours too. This is called the Glad sofa. It's from my collection with Taylor King, and we named it that because you're happy and you're glad when you're in it. It's super deep. We wanted a sofa that could really handle mess and
You always find a kids laying like
yes,
this.
they're always just like right on top of there. Cushions are usually flattened down, and I think they look good when they're rumpled. That was something that was important to us when designing the house. We knew the house was going to get messed up and have a lot of guests, have a lot of kids in it. So we picked things that looked good when they do get hit with life. Definitely the sofa gets hit with a lot over here. It's a soft, kind of pinky tone, and You will see throughout the house, the palette of this house is soft peachy pink and soft pinks, soft sand colors, because we are right on the dunes here in Duck, North Carolina. And what I love about the sand here in Duck is that it has sort of like a pinky tone to it. All the beaches are a little bit different, but this one has a little bit of peach in it and pink. So I pulled that out for things like the upholstery, the trim, the kitchen cabinetry, the tile, the rug, which is the pinkest of the pink. This is a crazy vintage pink rug here that I just loved, layered on top of a jute rug to get that really natural vibe going on. The jute is from our collection with Rugs USA.
You proved you can do any color.
Yeah, I was excited to get to do pink in here. That was fun. This coffee table here is by my friend Leanne Ford for Crate and Barrel. And we also love it because you will find kids actually on top of it. It cannot be hurt, and we love that. Another thing I wanted to do here with having such a large sofa was to really anchor the space, because you have, you know, the lower area here for the dining room and then this 2-story space here. So this sofa really sort of acts as an anchor and also a separator between the 2 spaces. So to do that, to get some more heft, I went with chunky lamps, chunkier side tables. These are from my collection with Woodbridge Furniture. And they're in that really nice sort of driftwood finish where it's very raw looking. And there's a little bit of paint crusted up in there, so you really can't hurt them, which I love. Practicality. All right, let's head around to the other side of the room.
Your favorite space?
Yes, my favorite space, my favorite spot, which is this woven leather chase here. But I for some reason feel the need to actually lay in to show you how comfortable it is. But this thing is so comfortable. Just kind of relax in it. It's woven leather. Clearly there is sunscreen on it. People enjoy it. Salt water. It has already gotten pretty messed up, but I think
bathing suits.
Yeah, bathing suits, but wet bathing suits. But I think the longer it kind of ages and gets patina, it'll just get better and better. And then this is a really fun lamp here. It's a great spot for reading. I mean, today is actually kind of one of those cloudier days. It's just a really good spot to kind of sit and be alone when there are kind of a lot of people being loud, as the family usually is. It's nice to have a little getaway area over there. It took me a long time to make a decision on this light because it is in such an important focal position. And I wanted something large, but I didn't want something that would block the view when you were upstairs. So I finally found this one. It is this crazy layered metal piece. And while it is massive, you can see right through it. It was really important for me to keep the views unobstructed. So this piece fit the bill, and I'm so excited that we found it.
So one thing you won't notice in here, and this is true of a lot of your living rooms, is there's no TV. That's not the point of this place. The point of this place is to interact with nature and each other.
Yeah, you have your view, you have your entertainment right out there. And so yeah, I typically don't love to put TVs in living rooms because I feel like it keeps things more social, more activity focused. But I can't say I have the best TV habits because we always put one in the bedroom, and I know that's like such a no-no. So there are TVs in some of the bedrooms for movie watching. As a family, we somehow always all end up in the bedroom, like snuggling up and watching a movie, but I feel like we use living spaces mostly for having fun. So these chairs are some of the coziest in the house. They are from my collection with Taylor King, and they are machine washable slip covers. So must have in a busy beach house if you actually have had issues and they do just go right in the wash and they come out good as new. But they are a slightly off-white. That's something else I do. I like to use materials and fabrics that read as white to the eye but aren't actually a technical white. So they are a bit more forgiving, but you still get that white slipcover vibe.
I'll either wake up early and I'll look out the window at the surf and see what the swell is like, or I will get woken up, Dad, there's a good wave today.
Yeah.
And so I love that. It's a lot easier than having to walk down the beach or check the surf report. So it's a really nice feature.
It's really nice. It's also weirdly hard to stop staring at. Like as you're talking, I was like, oh, it's so pretty. So
it's mesmerizing.
It is. I think that's why this house is so special. You are filled with awe because you're just, the ocean's right there.
I read in a book it like reduces your blood pressure.
He's making fun of me. In my book Beach Life, I write all about that, and so he's making fun of me now. I talk about that. Now you're holding. But yeah, it does. It creates awe, and
it's amazing.
It's good for you to have that. It was a doozy of a renovation, though, I would say. Things move slower at the beach. That's something we've noticed with doing lots of projects down here. the timeline is a little bit stretched at the beach because, you know, if the weather's good, it's a good day to go surfing.
All of our renovations required pulling out some of the walls and pulling out some drywall, and we found local juniper that matches perfectly. So half of this is original juniper. I'm not going to tell you which half, but half of this is the original juniper and half of it is brand new.
Yeah, some of it was water damaged and destroyed. So I guess you can guess which side of the house that was on, but there was a lot of water damage.
But there was a lot that we were able to save, and then there was some where we moved structure where there was drywall, and so we had to repair.
Yeah.
But it turned out amazing.
Yeah, the juniper was great. And this is kind of a quirky house. It kind of reminds me of a boat. I don't know, it's definitely got an 80s vibe to it for sure. It was built in the 80s. And I don't know, something about that sort of like vintage 80s vibe. I've been coming here since I was a kid. He's been coming here since he was a kid. And so it just had that good feeling. I don't know, it's spacious. When the kids visit, when they would come and we were in the renovations, it's just so much space. And it's hard to find an affordable beachfront home with this much space. It was definitely a good find, for sure. And so many of these houses are made for, you know, families and friends visiting. And so we love the way the bedrooms were split up. There's a first floor primary suite, and then upstairs we have 2 king bedrooms, a bunk room, and a little trundle bedroom. So it really fits a crowd. I mean, you can get multiple families in here, which we thought would be great for potential renters and that kind of thing. So it really works well.
It doesn't do your kind of pitfall for beach houses.
What's my pitfall? I have a pitfall?
You have a pitfall for a lot of beach houses. The kitchen being on the top floor.
Oh, yeah. I love a lot of the beach houses. The kitchen is upstairs because you have the prettiest views, but I'm a little lazy when I'm outside and coming in. So I love it when we find a beach house that has the kitchen on the main level. Easier for loading groceries, and I love to get outside as quickly as possible from the kitchen. So yeah, it had that. I was very excited about that. Now we're gonna head to the kitchen, so follow me. Here it is, this massive peninsula, which we absolutely love for a big crowd. There's 4 bar stools and everyone seems to gather around this area. And if you come on here, the interesting thing about this kitchen is that this actually used to be the dining room. We spend a ton of time in the kitchen, I do especially, and so I wanted the kitchen to be in the back of the house to get those great ocean views. It's a nice big kitchen, which is great because it stores a lot of dishes, a lot of pots and pans, a lot of everything. So we have the large peninsula here. The center of the kitchen is one of my favorite pieces in the house, besides the chase, of course, is this old antique English island. It's just a nice work table, and I got it for a really good deal, which makes me love it even more. It has a beautiful patina on it. You cannot hurt it. You can't mess it up because it's already messed up. I love that. So I do a lot of prep here. One of the things I love to do in here is put a cheese board out when we're cooking, and the family just loves cheese and crackers and charcuterie. So kind of pop that on here and everyone can sort of pick and eat as we prepare to eat, which I guess, I don't know, Italian is kind of what we do. So I'll kind of take you functionally through the kitchen. Over here, I like to take the refrigerator, which I don't usually think of as the most pretty thing in the kitchen, and I put it sort of out of the way. So I put it all the way here on this elevation. And then we did a large bank of windows here and centered the sink on it. And as you come this way, you can see that we used the exact same tile, the raw terracotta tile that we used on the fireplace in here as the backsplash. And I did that to connect the spaces and to keep it feeling really calm. So the tile floor in here is actually a faux stone. It's a porcelain, and it's very, very close in color to our hardwood floors, which are oak. And so I didn't want a massive transition when you went from one space to the other, but I did imagine renters in this house, and I thought that the porcelain would just be a very practical, easy to clean solution for a kitchen that was gonna see a lot of people. So in this room, which has this sort of pale, peachy pink cabinetry, I wanted to make sure that it didn't go too sweet. So I did that by adding things like this massive wood island. You've got these hefty bowls that are really different and a little bit more stronger and masculine than the sort of peachy pink So kind of putting things with their opposites makes them more interesting. The range here, I love to take a range and center it on a focal wall. And so the range and the hood have become the focal piece for this wall here. And it is flanked by identical sets of cabinetry. These are glass, and what's really cool about them is you can see we took the tile, the same raw terracotta tile that is on the fireplace over there, we took that tile, repeat it in here for cohesiveness, and then also put it behind the glass here, which is a really cool little textural element. Makes me disproportionately happy, but I really love it. This trick here, this is just really simple. It is painted drywall for our hood. It's one of the most inexpensive range hoods you can do, and I do it a lot. When we first got this house, we were thinking about it with resale and rental in mind, so I didn't want to break the bank on a really expensive hood, so this is a trick I use a lot here. So this is a great kitchen to cook in. It's nice to have all this space. We always say that we feel, like a place really feels like home once we kind of bomb the kitchen and make a huge mess. One of the things we love to cook here down in the Outer Banks, we love to do boils. And I also love to make clam chowder. So I think the last time I cooked in this kitchen was a huge pot of clam chowder. I had to freeze half of it because I made so much for probably like 20 of us. So I just love kind of making a huge mess in here and just cooking up a storm, having everybody come in from the beach, and we can kind of all hang out and chill and eat. It's an easy kitchen to function in because we've got the sink on one wall, the range on the other, the little prep island, and then this peninsula is where we do a lot of our entertaining, so we'll set up drinks, and we actually can have people eat here too, which is really, really nice. The lighting in here has sort of a little mid-century vibe to it. We've got these spheres here, so we've got this sphere, which has a little raffia above it, and then we have the plain spheres, which we use as flush mat lighting throughout the kitchen. Another of my favorite lighting elements is spotlights. I love spotlights, especially in the kitchen when you have something pretty to highlight. So I clearly was obsessed with the tile and the glass and the fact that you could see through it. So I had those lit up with spotlights to direct right on them. And then over here is one of my favorite little corners. We did a simple floating shelf here and just put a little horse painting. There are wild horses around here, so you'll see a lot of horse pictures and paintings. And then that just has a really simple sort of crackled porcelain sconce above it. These stools are great. Again, they're adding that woven element that I love so much, and they are from Pottery Barn. All right, now let's head into the family room.
Now, getting into the family room was quite the predicament we found ourselves in. Moving the stairs became really a situation, and so we had to figure out how to still access this room and still have enough rise and run to get up the stairs onto a second floor. And so we did some real tight.
I know, I was like, I think we can do it, but we had to kind of shift here. This was the original kitchen in here, and we
managed to make a door big enough and the stairs clear it so
Yes.
we can get up to the second floor, but it was no small feat without pushing in and shrinking the new kitchen.
So we had this leftover space here, and we knew that the house would function better with a little family room. Should we take you in? Oh, this door. You should tell them about
Yes.
the door. This is a fun door.
And so we couldn't have a real door swinging, covering up the mechanical room, swinging into the room, taking up all the space in the room. So Lauren came up with the idea of a barn door. And the idea was to put the juniper that's on the walls on the door. And so we made this door, and then we just put it on a regular old barn track, and we solved all the problems just like that. Plus, the design-wise, it doesn't draw too much attention.
I love that he knows
It looks
this.
like all the other walls.
That's right, that's right. Yeah, I wanted to be able to close this door and tuck away mess, also tuck away the volume of the kids that would be getting stuck in this room when we go hang out here.
We had a lot of fun. Well, the guys had a lot of fun making this feel as much like an old ship as we could. And so Lauren has this trick where she paints the drywall black before we put the wood treatment on. So we make these gaps, and uneven gaps, different lengths and different sizes.
I just kind of tell the guys, I'm like, you can mess up or drink a little bit before you do this room because we do not want perfection in here. And so they did a good job.
And the black comes through and makes it really, really look good.
I wanted it to have sort of a, you know, like Walrus and the Carpenter from Alice in Wonderland, just kind of like really quick, kind of sea shanty vibe. Not sea shanty, that's what I would be singing yo-hos in here. I wanted to have sort of a really, yo-ho. I'm sorry, I told you sometimes I get weird. I'm sure I stop. I wanted it to have just sort of a really casual kind of sea shack vibe in here. And I think they did a great job. This art behind us, this is kind of fun. So it's a mix of vintage and antique and also downloads from Etsy. We were thinking of selling and or renting the house, and so we really couldn't spend a lot of money on artwork. So a bunch of these are actually just downloads, and then I bought a bunch of vintage frames and we framed them in
We also
these frames.
mixed ships and horses because we're in the Outer Banks. And when we started coming to the Outer Banks, the horses would be in your trash if you left the lid open.
Yeah, I know. We're it's not as wild as it used to be, but the horses are still here.
Life hack, those shades, right?
Oh yeah, this is a good thing. I feel like the world needs to know you don't always have to spend a lot of money on custom window treatments.
You just tell me you want whatever standard size, and then I just roll them up and take a circle saw and I just chop off the edges.
So they are not custom size. We buy the closest size to the window, and then Dave just saws them down. Sometimes we've even used scissors because the matchstick is just so flimsy. I can just kind of cut through it. And so we saved a lot of money on that. These are, I don't know, like $20 or $30 each. So good little savings tip there. This little hanging light is one of my favorite things. It just has that kind of raw, casual vibe to it. And it's a great little reading light for this corner of the sectional, which I might add is IKEA. And it is great in the space. It fit almost perfectly. And what we did to make it a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more luxe, was we took the original back cushion inserts out and put down cushions in there. Because again, I like it when the cushions are down and they kind of look good when they get messed up. And then layered it in with a bunch of vintage and new pillows, just different stripes, some browns, earth tones, and a little bit of that pale pink again. And the sofa itself is a deep charcoal color. I definitely wanted something in here that was dark. Food does come in here, so I did not want to worry at all about that. And it's just been a really cozy little hangout spot to watch movies and curl up. The rugs, again in here, we did the layering. It's a base jute rug from my collection with Rugs USA. And then the top rug is a vintage rug, again with pink and earth tones in it. And we have this concrete coffee table. You'll see a lot of these sort of glasses with the woven netting around them. They're from our shop, and I just love them, so put a bunch of them in the house.
The concrete table seems to have some nice patina.
I know, it looks like it's been cracked. But I can't
Wonder if
really tell. It looks fine.
Little
Yeah.
people jumping on it, or
Probably.
Our secret for fitting the kids on the couch is that Lauren and I aren't actually taking up seats. We are seats.
Yes, they do sit on us as well.
Usually 2 or 3.
Yeah, but we are able to fit the whole family in here on this cozy sectional. Maybe sometimes there's someone on the floor here, but yeah, it works, even though it's a tiny space. I don't know. I guess that's one of those things I've noticed too, in a lot of interiors we do, is that people do tend to kind of gather in a lot of the smaller, cozy spaces. I don't know. I guess that's what humans do. I came into interior design in a sort of roundabout way. I should have realized I was into it sooner, because as a child I would rearrange my bedroom, go to my friends' houses, rearrange their rooms, and fix everyone's everything up. But no, I didn't realize it until after college. And so I got out of school and I was working in PR, but I started decorating my first apartment and realized I found that way more fun than actually doing my job. So my roommate was so patient. I repainted our dining room like 3 times, and she was very sweet to let me do all this. So I enrolled in a distance learning interior design program and started staging houses. And then I knew I wanted to open up a design business, but I wanted to start by staging with smaller jobs. And then my staging clients began hiring me to do design projects. And then the business just grew, and I hired an employee. And then at a certain point, I was hiring another one, and Dave was teaching. I don't know if you wanna...
Yeah, I was teaching and working.
High school English.
I was teaching high school English, and we were working nights on the business and weekends and then summers.
Yeah, and by this time, I think we had 3 kids at this time.
And we were like, this is just too much. It's growing. This is great. We need to hire a project manager.
Yeah.
And we went on like monster.com back then.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like triple what I make as a teacher. I was like, I'm doing this.
He's like, I'm quitting.
Like, I'm in. I'm your new hire.
Yeah.
And she didn't really have a choice because we were married.
Yeah. So Dave came on as project manager and handles a lot of the back end. I say he gets the fun job of all the paperwork. And
I don't want to pick out rugs. People would not be happy.
Yeah, so then I do the design side of things, and our business has just kind of grown throughout that time. When I was first starting the design business before Dave had come on, we had bought a home in Northern Virginia, and the real estate market did the crash, and it was
buy high, sell low.
Yeah, we've learned that lesson. But we ended up selling our house, and we moved into my parents' basement with our 1-year-old at the time. And I think at the time we were, I don't know, we felt terrible because we lost all this money on our home, and we had only been married a couple years. But it was probably the best thing for us because my parents were there and we had help with babysitting, and that's really when I got the design business off the ground because we had all that help, which we never would have had living on our own. And then I started a blog at the time, and my blog was really instrumental in getting word out there and sort of getting published in magazines. I would show pictures of projects on the blog, and then magazines would reach out to me and say, hey, can we shoot this for the magazine? And I would like flip out and be like, yes. And so getting published kept happening, and that's really how the business sort of grew. So now we're just in the business together, and we have more employees, and we've branched into product designing, which I love. So I have a textile collection, lighting collection, rug collection, upholstery collection, case goods collection, kitchen cabinets, and a little bit of plumbing and tile. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying getting to design not just the houses, but the things that will go in the houses. And that's been really, really fun to get into.
Everyone always asks us, don't you get sick of being around each other all the time? And we say no. Like if she has a client meeting and I'm stuck in the office all day, we get back home and we're like, oh my gosh, I missed you so much today. Well, tell me about your day. Mm-hmm. And then the other days we get to just be together, we love it.
It's great.
I couldn't imagine not doing that.
I know. I feel so lucky to get to work together. We were also those annoying people that like to do everything together. I will say that. So we're like, yeah, if you're gonna like go to the post office, I'll drive with you and like check emails at the same time. All right, this is, you want to say it? Because
Sky Lounge.
The Sky Lounge. We actually named this space. It was kind of a joke when we first got the house.
I wasn't joking.
Well, I remember it's like, it's gonna be the Sky Bar, the Sky Lounge, because we pictured this really cool hangout space here where you can just completely, like when you're standing up here, you can see the ocean, but also the sky is just beautiful. So, and you're up sort of in the sky. So.
No, this space is so amazing. You're just immersed in the view. And you have a gathering space. You have this huge table. And so the kids and I love to play games on this table and hang out and enjoy the view, enjoy each other, and still have the rest of the family can be downstairs. So we still feel connected. It's pretty magical.
I can yell up here. You guys can hear me.
You guys hungry?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this table is 5 feet wide. It's massive. It's the modern Ming from my collection with Woodbridge furniture, and the kids are on top of it a lot of times as well. Yes. And we just got to load it up with books and all things about the ocean, dogs, seashells. It's fun to be able to have a space like this where we can collect books. We sort of have a book problem in our lives. We love books. We love collecting them and reading them, and so it's nice to have such a big space that we can put our addictions on here. Again, in here we have another jute rug from my collection with Rugs USA and a vintage one on top of it. The 4 chairs surrounding this 5-foot massive table are just really simple rattan chairs with a mid-century vibe. They're very, very comfortable. They have that angle that I love that kind of sets you back. Very, very comfy. And then over in the corner, we have this cool little bar cart setup, which I love. And more pampas grass. This is from maybe a couple of years ago, so it dries very nicely.
Holds up very well.
Yeah, it does. Sometimes it's windy and it'll fly all over you though.
So this spot over here was amazing. It was actually a sauna.
Yes.
It was a 1980s sauna. It was
Yep.
so great. Why do we have to get rid of it?
The stairs.
I'm joking.
Oh, it's like, I do want a sauna.
It was like a one person, maybe like 4 foot tall person sauna though.
Yeah,
I think you could go like climb in it and just sit.
The kids loved it. It was their like a little zoo, and they would go in there and be
It was
like,
like a
"Help."
terrarium. We would
Yeah.
put them in there and look at them.
We had to take some of the space for these stairs here, and then decided to create a little shelving niche here for all of our collections. And it's a fun little spot. It's kind of ever evolving. Things tend to move around in there when other people have stayed here, so it's good to see.
Another awesome part about the Sky Lounge, and in fact the whole living room ceiling, is, what did you call this type of, is it a wash?
Oh, so this is regular paint watered down to give it sort of a washed milk paint look. I love the shape of the ceiling, and again, the house has a quirky architectural form, but it reminds me of a boat, and especially the ceiling, and you've got the skylight, so I was very excited to get to work with that. And the ceilings originally were dark, but we had them painted to sort of lighten up the space, make it a little bit airier and a little bit more fresh.
But you can still see some wood grain come through the paint,
Yeah.
which makes it feel so old-timey and authentic.
Yeah, I asked for a sloppy paint job, so we got one and love it. All right, now let's head to the bedroom. This is the southeast bedroom, and it is obviously on the ocean side. It has a great view. Really, really beautiful to wake up to. This is the room that we stay in when we stay here. The bedding, I went with vintage style Martha Washington quilt, and it is paired with a more modern or mid-century rattan bed. And we have our fun little "Don't Give Up the Ship" flag above the bed. The entire palette for this room was based on the rug, which is one of my rugs from my collection with Rugs USA, and it is a mix of pink and blue. And so we had a lot of fun, went with pink walls in here. The contractors were all like, what is she doing with all this pink? But I was really excited to get to do a pink room. And I'll let you tell them about the ceiling.
So the ceiling was another save situation where we had this beautiful juniper, but some of it was ruined, and then we built in a closet, so we had to cut into the ceiling, and so we were able to find matching juniper and stain it so you can't tell where the old...
You can
oh,
kind
you
of tell. Yes, you can totally tell, but not that badly. It was a pretty good match, I would say.
The other thing about this room that I love is sleeping with the door open and just hearing the sound of the waves.
I'm going to show you this because it's just really, really beautiful, and we just love it out here. You got to see this. There is that ocean today. It's windy and it's beautiful. And this is doing that curtain thing that I absolutely love. So you can see these are really light curtains. I love opening the door here and letting the curtains breeze in the wind. These are by Amber Lewis for Anthropology, and they're a very light cotton. And so they are the perfect beachy, blowy, breezy curtains. And they have that pink we needed in here.
So we get up early and we go for a walk on the beach, whether it's
Yeah.
before sunrise or not.
Yeah, we shoot for sunrise, but lots of times we're a little bit lazy. But we're out on the beach usually bright and early in the mornings. And so this door is great because you can just kind of open it up and check the temperature and then close it. And then mostly we just run out to the beach because it's too inviting, I would say. For nightstands, I just went with really simple oak nightstands. They have a leather handle, which I love here. And I went with very, very inexpensive lamps, and they have that cool kind of crusty pottery look, which I love. I love to take things that are a little bit earthier and more masculine and put them in a room that's pink. It's that juxtaposition that I really love that kind of makes this room for me. I kind of describe my design philosophy as down to earth, and that means that I like things natural. I love to bring in natural elements, things from the outside. I use a lot of natural fibers and real materials, and I like things relaxed and casual, clearly. I like for homes to feel welcoming and almost like an exhale, if that makes sense. The world is so crazy, so busy. I want homes to be the places where my clients can go to just sort of like flop and exhale and just sort of be. So yeah, I would say down to earth, relaxed, natural, collected, timeless. I like for interiors to stand the test of time. I don't want my clients to feel as if they have to go change out their throw pillows seasonally or change them out every year and shop all the time and buy all the time. I really like to sort of get things right and then let people really live in their home and collect things that are more meaningful and maybe personal, like artwork or accessories, that kind of thing, but not really have to mess with furniture because you went trendy on something. I really like to bring in timeless pieces.
Materials too, materials that will wear well with age.
Yep, absolutely.
So as they get used, they're only more beautiful. Not, oh my gosh, it's got scratches, now we gotta replace it.
Yeah, it is very important to us with 5 kids and 3 dogs, and our clients, a lot of them have big families too, is just things have to be able to handle the mess that life throws at them. So like these are washable slip covers. I love materials that you don't have to worry about. I think that you can really only be comfortable in a home when you know that you can't hurt it and that you can truly relax and just do your thing in it instead of worrying about, you know, messing something up or spilling, that kind of thing. So this is the northeast bedroom, mostly used as a guest bedroom, and surprise, it's pink, but with another pink room. This is a softer pink, it's a peachier pink. And one of the things I love to do when decorating, you know, at the beach, it doesn't always have to be like blue and white nautical. I love to incorporate kind of more unexpected colors and textures and patterns. So you'll see here on the bed, we have a floral quilt on the bed, but then, you know, I paired it with a stripe in this kind of mustard color, which does feel a bit more coastal. So we had fun doing that kind of thing. And you've seen sort of these little flags throughout the house. This one is Stay Wild Ocean Child. We found most of these on Etsy, but I did want that, again, that little bit of kitsch coming in throughout the house, that little bit of fun, because I didn't want it to feel too serious or too formal, and that does just that.
And it looks so good against the wall, but that was a happy accident.
Hey, remind, what happened with this wall?
So we had the beautiful juniper, and this is one of the first rooms they did. And they just started painting it.
Oh, that was right. We were
and
going to keep this
no,
wood.
This is supposed to be the beautiful juniper. But then you were like, you know what? No, I think I want to continue this.
Yep. So we took the pink and put it all over. And we did have them do that sort of purposefully sloppy paint job once the paint job was started. So you can kind of see the wood through it. It gives it more depth, more texture, which I love.
More sea shanty.
Yes. More sea shack. And so this bed here is from Crate and Barrel. Again, it's that light kind of pale wood. And then the 2 nightstands are from IKEA, the good old mom dresser, bolted to the wall, of course. Oh, this rug is really one of my favorite rugs. It's more of a mat, really, and it's from my collection with Rugs USA. But it's really cool because it's got this straw woven through it, and it feels really, really good on your feet. These are some of my favorite curtains from Anthropologie. I use them all the time, and that is just so romantic when it does that. And so just about the thinnest cotton you can get. That makes my heart happy. Okay, sure you guys want to move on to the next room, which is the bunk room.
All right, so this is the bunk room, and I'm very proud of the bunk room.
Yeah, it was a lot of thinking.
A lot of figuring out.
Yeah.
Starting with
we have 6 beds.
We have 6 beds.
Which is a lot in one small room. And then Dave is really, it's amazing, this window, I will say.
We got portholes. They don't actually make portholes for houses, though.
Well, they're not code because you have to be able to open.
Well, there's no jamb for
the
window. But we went to a restaurant and we noticed that they had portholes. I was like, how did they do that? And so I walked to the outside of the building and I realized they had a regular square window, and then they just put a porthole over the top of it. Yeah. And so that's what we did. So if you go look from the outside, you're just going to see 4 square windows. But when you look in here, you see portholes.
So each bunk has its own portal window, and you can see the ocean from all 4 of them. So even though this is on the west side of the house, you still have ocean views. So the kids can kind of curl up in here. They each have their own reading light and their own little ocean view.
And so it feels like they're looking out the bottom of a ship. And we even did...
We leaned in hard to Nautical
we figured out a rope system, and we have cleats to get them up into their
because you really
kind
of need to use this to get up here. So you need something. We found that out the hard way. The kids were like, help. We're like, oh yeah, you need something. So we have a cleat to get up in here there.
And then some awesome nautical lights.
Yeah. But then I wanted to soften it a bit with the paper, the wallpaper on the walls. We have both girls and boys. We've got all the blue, but then I did want to add this little bit of floral paper. I think it's good for the boys to live with some flowers, you know, every now and then. All the kids have their own little spots, and when people come to visit, everyone seems to kind of find somewhere to curl up in. This room also gets used a lot for play, like not even always for sleep, but there's so many games that they kind of play in their little areas. There's 6 different areas here.
And each little bed has a little reading light.
Yes.
Which is so key. So the main light can go off, but somebody can keep reading without disturbing everybody else. Yeah,
with its own little wall switch for that. So really easy. Get cozy up in here. So these curtains are fun. These are also Anthropology. And they're blue and white, and they have these little monkeys in them. Very playful, blue on blue on blue in here. The rug is a vintage rug from our shop.
I also love how do any of the bedspreads match?
I think maybe randomly these two happen to, but yeah, most of them are mismatched. So cool. I love kind of doing that, mismatching quilts. It gives it a more collected feel, a more casual vibe. I think the pillows are also mismatched. And so yeah, this is a fun space. This gets used more, I would say, mostly as a playroom, and they love playing and climbing and jumping around in here. I think home for us is where we are all together, for sure. I know that's probably super basic, but I think that is the truth. It's like wherever we have all of our kids and all of our dogs and we're together, it definitely feels like home when we're all together. What would you say?
I would add a meal.
Oh, you're right. That's true.
When we prepare a meal.
Yeah.
And we're all sitting down eating it together. If we prepared it at that place, it all of a sudden feels like home.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know why.
That's true. We always say when we move to a new home, the first time we make our family's bolognese sauce, when the Mastronzi bolognese comes out, we're like, now it's home, because we have to blow up the kitchen, make a mess, and then it really does feel like home at that point, I would say. Bye, Homeworthy. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today.
Hope to see you guys soon.
Take care.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Courtney. Welcome to our home in Tiburon, California. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Courtney Smith. Welcome to Marin County, California. I'm an interior designer. I'm so happy to have you here. Today, we'll start in the entry hall. So when we think about entry spaces, they're really an introduction to a home, and we want to give clues about the space and the overall vibe of the home. And this is no exception. So although it's white, the walls are white, we have a lot going on in here, and we try to really layer personal items with useful items, and the entry hall has to really function. So for instance, this is a game table. It's basically serves as an entry console most of the time, but when we have mahjong or we play bridge, it comes out and serves as a game table. It flips open. These planters are a new addition. They are a 18th century French piece from a really good friend of mine who's an amazing interior landscape designer. And she helped me source these, and they just really finish off the space and echo what's happening outside in our yard with the greenery. An entry bench here serves as a spot for guests to lay their bags down and their coats. We live in California, so we don't really have a lot of inclement weather. We don't have an entry closet, but we use this for guests. This set of screens was actually one of the first purchases we made for our home. I didn't know where it would go. Before we even renovated our home, I didn't have it in mind for an entry hall, but I absolutely loved the colors. And we sourced it from a vintage spot in Dallas, which is where I grew up, so it has a special place in my heart. But really, it just mimics a lot of the colors that we have in our home. And I love the chinoiserie and the florals and the birds. It just really speaks to me and is a nice moment when we walk in. Over here, probably the most special thing in our entry hall is this blueprint. So I was really inspired by my grandmother and my mother in terms of design. And this is a blueprint from my grandparents' home of a very special room to me called the lanai, which was like a garden room. It's actually the plans for that space. And my mom and aunt were selling the property about a year ago. And they said they found these blueprints. And I said, I'd love them. And I'm going to hang them in our entry hall because a lot of the inspiration for our home came from her. So that's really special. And then over here, one thing to mention is really we try to pack a lot of function into every space. So this dresser is where we keep all of our linens for entertaining. It's full of napkins and placemats and all kinds of goodies for entertaining. And this was one of the first pieces my husband and I bought when we were first married about 20 years ago. And it's lived in New York with us and in our first home in Marin County. And it always finds a spot. So I would say, definitely don't be afraid to invest in pieces you love because you will find a place for them, especially if they serve a function. So we lived in another town in Marin called Ross, which is about 5 miles north of here when we first moved from New York in 2009. And we loved that town. We have a lot of dear friends there. I mean, it's a hop, skip, and a jump from here. But we were sending our children to a school close to this home in Tiburon. And we were doing this commute that was kind of driving me bonkers. And I was ready for a project. So we sort of started looking in 2015. And we happened upon this home, which didn't look anything like this when we bought it, but it was a hacienda. My husband and I had spent a lot of time in Santa Barbara, and we're really inspired by that style of architecture and the indoor-outdoor connection of those properties. This property really spoke to us in terms of the just the feel of the property and the fact that there was a lot of potential for improvement. So we bought it in 2016. We lived in it for a few years as is, and then we embarked on a renovation in 2019 that we took through COVID. It's unclear when exactly we finished. It was sort of like never ending. I think we finished in 21, 22. All right, now off of our entryway is our kitchen. None of this part of the home was here when we bought the home. This was part of the renovation. So we used the footprint that we got. This was an amalgamation of bedrooms and hallways and sort of awkward spaces. We took that down. We used the foundation. We expanded it a bit, and we created this great room space that's really the heart of the home. So this is where we live when we're not outside. And I know, some people are a little afraid of an open floor plan. For us in California, it makes a lot of sense because we're really indoor-outdoor living, and we don't live in a formal way. We do have a formal dining room, which we can use, but really we're in this room almost all the time. So the first pattern that we picked when we embarked on our project was this citrus pattern on the wall back here. I've always loved this pattern. This is a Joseph Frank pattern. He was a textile designer in the mid-1900s. I've just always loved his work. And I'd had this earmarked for myself for years and years. And when we bought this house, it did have citrus growing on the property. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's the perfect opportunity to use that fabric that I've always loved. Or that pattern that I've always loved. So it landed here. And that created an opportunity to pull throughout the home. So we use that as like the base palette and pulled those colors across different rooms. We're always thinking in our work about sight lines. So whenever you're standing in a space, we want to be sure that wherever you're looking, you have a pleasing sight line. So whatever's happening here, I want to be able to see into the living room, and it should make sense visually. And the same with the stair tower, and I'll show you that theme throughout the tour. Our children are 17 and 14, but when they were really little, we took them to Paris, lucky kids. And there's a bakery that's a French bakery called Laterie. I'm sure I'm butchering that. I did take like forever years of French, but I'm terrible. So Laterie's color is this beautiful pistachio green, and I've always loved it. It's my favorite. So when we were doing our kitchen, I said, I really want to use that Laterie green. So that was the first paint color we picked. And then we only have 4 other colors in our house, paint colors. We really limit paint schedules for ourselves and for our clients because it just makes, it creates a thread throughout a project where if you're repeating a color, it brings a sense of calm to what could otherwise be sort of a frenetic design style, because we do love to use a ton of patterns, a ton of wallpapers. There's 13 wallpapers in our home. And having a simplified paint schedule really helps us tie things together. So this is one of the main colors in our home. Then of course we have a white, which you saw in the entry hall, a dark green, which is all of our window mullions and some other spots, and a blue. So that's it. That's pretty simple. And our clients do love that because honestly, it makes keeping paints really easy. We love to use found items as decorative additions to a space. They just bring, they make every space really unique, and they give a sense of the personality that's kind of behind the home. So in this space, for instance, this swan or goose, do we know what she is? I think she's a goose. This is from France. And I found her at a wonderful shop locally called Hudson Grace, which is a chain, but I think founded in Northern California. It launched in Northern California. And she's from like the 1800s, early 1900s. She's really heavy. She was outside in a garden for many years. So she's beat up. She has a lot of patina. We love her like that. And this is a big island, so she helps ground the space. And really, we can work all the way around the island. The kids do homework without moving her. So she stays here all the time. Our cat does love to sit in whatever's planted here, so that's a challenge, but it's fine. And then over here, we have another example of a found item. This rabbit was something that my husband found. He's got a great eye. And he found it at a local estate sale. He's just so cute and fun. We love folk art. I'm sure he's not like anything signed or particularly valuable, but for us, he just adds a sense of whimsy and personality. And I kind of feel like he's watching over us in the kitchen. And then up here, this is actually worth mentioning as well. So my, the China tea set is from one of my grandmothers. And of course, we don't serve tea in our life on the regular, but I love looking at that pattern, and above it is a paper mache piece. You can't really tell it's paper mache from down here, but it's citrus, it's lemon, with that little blue bow, which mimics the colors in the wallpaper. This is from Casa Gusto, a wonderful shop in Florida, which my director of procurement, Sarah Crawford, my business partner, found as a source, and I just love that piece. It reminds me of Sarah. I think it's so perfect in the space. And this is a big wall, so it's nice to have something textured and dimensional up there. So same space, we'll just meander into the dining and living area. This is where we eat family dinner when we're not eating outside. And we play games here and such. This is a very beat up table. I think it's worth highlighting just the fact that we want our families, we want our kids, and we want our clients who we work with, families, to feel really comfortable in their homes. So we often buy vintage pieces or antique pieces that already have a lot of patina in them because that first indent isn't so painful that way. In fact, I do remember a moment not long ago when my son was doing homework on this table and he lifted his paper and it was like his whole math set had been like indented onto the table. I was like, it's fine, it's part of the story. It's good. So we leave baskets out wherever we can because it helps contain messes, but we're always ready to set the table. So this is just our fixings for setting the table. It stays here all the time. It makes my life easy because things feel like they're not such a mess, but they're really easy and accessible for the family to use. Here we have more storage and lots of family photos. We have dear family in California and in New Jersey and in Seattle. So all of our immediate family is represented here. I like to change these out every so often, but they're just all people who are really special to us. And I do think it's worth remembering that when you put like items together in groupings like this, they have a lot of impact. So in our home and with our client homes, we try to build collections for clients and for things like pictures or objects, like I have a collection of calligraphy brushes down here. We have a lot of different collections throughout. I'll point them out as we go. But in here, that's dining, living. This is really our formal living area, although it's not very formal, as you can see. We keep the chess out all the time. My kids play that sometimes. I like to keep things out and accessible and reachable so that when people are here or my kids are sitting in here, they can just plop down and use things, and we don't have to make such a big deal out of going and getting a game out, or like we keep a deck of cards in the basket with our placemats and coasters and such, so that it's easy to play cards after dinner. So we try to be thoughtful about where we're placing things and inviting people who live in the home to really use the home and enjoy the home. I never sit in here. My kids and husband sit in here all the time, but I'm a doer and I like to move around. I do sit in here sometimes, but it's a really beautiful space. As you can see, it's all about the view from our property. This is looking east toward the Berkeley Hills, and the Richmond Bridge is the bridge that you see out in the distance. When we bought the home, the original site, this was a primary bedroom, and oddly enough, this was a wall, and the bed faced this way. There were 2 tiny windows on the sides of the bed. We, of course, when we renovated, took that wall down and created a wall of windows, and for us, it's just so relaxing and beautiful. We're so smitten with the view. We've lived here for many years and it doesn't get old. We like to mix new with old, with sentimental, with quirky or whimsical or unexpected or irreverent. So in this room, this chest, this secretary was my aunt's, and she lives in Maine. And when she moved from one home to another, she couldn't use this piece anymore. So she gave it to me, and I absolutely love this piece. It's so special to me because of who it came from, but also just because of the beauty. I love the design, I love the glass, and this actually holds, it's very functional. It holds all of our wrapping paper and gifts for the kids. They can pull stuff out for birthday parties and such, but it's really functional. And then up here, this is a collection of rose medallion that was my mom's, and she and my dad moved at one point, and she was like over it. So I said, oh, I'll definitely put it out. I love it. As you can see, it obviously works really beautifully with our color scheme, and it reminds me of my mom and one of my aunts, Auntie Alice, who my mom inherited it from. But it's just a really beautiful collection. There's some other objects up here who were given to us by special people. There's a pair of monkeys, which remind me of my kids. And it just adds like a little bit of patina, and there's a story. And even if people don't know what the story is in a space, I think you can feel when you walk into a home if there is a story behind the objects in the home, and if they mean something to the inhabitants. I feel like the home just has a different soul, and it's a more enjoyable experience, I think, for the family who lives there and for visitors in the home. One other sentimental object that is a real conversation starter is this book. I got this out for you guys to see because this is so special to me. If there was a fire in the home, I would save this book. This is called a hostess book, and this is my great-grandmother Lolly's hostess book from the 1950s. So it's cool because, first of all, it's my great-grandmother's, and it is her handwriting. It's just absolutely gorgeous. She dated all of the entries, and they detail the plans for the different parties that she had. So my grandmother and my mother are all beautiful, impeccable entertainers, and this is incredible. She kept track of the costs, what she served, and it's just so much fun to go through and see, how did she think about served Hawaiian punch with added orange, grapefruit, and lemon juice as the girls arrived. She had bridge groups and domino groups and things. They lived in Yuba City, 2 hours north of us, but this is just, irreplaceable. And I love that it was created at the moment when our home here was being built, and that it has my great-grandmother's hand and thought in it. And my mom actually gifted this to my husband when we moved into this home, and she wished us many years of happy hosting. So I think that's so special. One other piece, which I have to mention in here, is this art piece here. It's a commission by Sharon Lee of Crane Home. I found her from a magazine cutting of her home in Santa Monica, which was a Spanish-style home, and I absolutely loved that home. Cut it out and had it in my file of inspiration for many years. When we went to create our own hacienda, I remembered it, and I reached out to her, and she had since moved to Dallas, which is so funny because that's where I grew up, and we collaborated on some things. So this is one of the pieces that she created for us, and it's really symbolic. It's a Korean, she's a Korean-American artist, and it's Korean rendition of a lot of good luck symbols. So she's representing the mountains. We live by a mountain called Mount Tam, a mountain. The sea, obviously, for the sea, rainbows, and the 4 cranes up here represent our family. There's the sun and the moon, and it all is a connected piece that has a lot of meaning for us. I sent her all of the fabrics that were going to be in the space and said, just create anything. And she created this. She just blew my doors off. She's just incredibly talented, and I treasure this piece. I think it's absolutely beautiful. She also created the fabric that's on the cornices up here. These are a happy accident, which we love in design. So oftentimes when we run into roadblocks in projects, they're a really great opportunity for being creative, and really good things come out of roadblocks. So the roadblock in here that was the catalyst for these crazy and awesome cornices was that when we moved in, we realized that there's a lot of morning light in this room, and I wasn't planning on window treatments for obvious reasons, but we really needed some sun protection. And I didn't want to do drapes because we had these great sconces on either side of the window, and drapes felt pretty formal for the feel that we were aiming for. So I brainstormed with my fabricator, and we came up with this idea to do these woven shades on the windows. They're all operated individually, so we can control the light depending on where the sun is. We get very intense morning sun, like I said. And then we needed to hide the mechanism. And so we created a cornice box with another artist and used Sharon's beautiful fabric to cover them. So this home is just a really special collaboration between myself and my husband and our children and people we respect and love. And so many talents came in to help us create a home that we really enjoy and treasure. And we're just so grateful. And off of our great room is our stair tower. So follow me. So in here, this home originally wasn't a 2-story home. When we remodeled, we took it up to a second story for the primary suite. And when we did, we had an opportunity to create this tower, which is covered in a wallpaper that is very similar to the paper that was in my Nana and Poppy's lanai in the home that inspired a lot of our design decisions in this space. So they had a very beautiful green and white trellis. This isn't by the same designer, but it's a Bob Collins paper, which is a Florida textile and wallpaper designer. And I just love it. I feel like it echoes, it's meant to be a welcome from the outdoors in. Everywhere where we have those transitions between the exterior and the home, we have brick floors. That's meant to be a subtle clue for guests that they're transitioning between inside and outside. So we have that here. And in here, this is where we keep this is our bar, which is not in frequent use, but it's nice because it's centrally located, but off of the great room, but not like in the center of things. This tea set actually was my grandmother's wedding gift to my husband and myself, and it came from the Queen's Silver Vaults in London. This lamp was a vintage find in Berkeley. We found this in Berkeley. It's alabaster and gilded metal, and the lampshade, it was a real chore to figure out what lampshade to put on this, but I think it all works together, and it does, again, mimic and echo what's happening outside with the garden. The doors on the wall are probably the piece that we get asked most about. These were found by my husband on a trip to Santa Barbara, and we were shopping at a vintage spot, and he saw them behind a shed. They weren't really for sale, but we'd been looking for something for this wall, and he said, would these work? Because they do have green and blue in them. Green's my favorite color. You can tell we have green everywhere. But I was like, maybe, I guess they will. And we have a fabulous art installer it was really a feat to hang these on the wall. But we love them. We don't really know what the story is, so we're gonna make one up. We think they're from a church in Mexico, but we don't know. Real quickly, I wanna show you something special we did at the bottom of the stairs. Come with me. So these are framed holiday cards. So every year that we have created a holiday card, which is every year, we frame them and we put them on this wall in no particular order. with our wedding announcement in the center, and then just surrounded by all of our family holiday cards. It's a fun tradition. It really does keep us on task in terms of sending a holiday card out. I mean, sometimes they're Groundhog Day cards. Sometimes they're like summer cards. They don't have to go out at the holidays. I mean, Lord knows we all are busy and I don't run the tightest ship on this front, but I do get something out every year, and it's really fun to see how the kids grow. And the kids' bedrooms are off of this area, so I love the idea that they walk past this every day and they can remember the times that they came from. There are travel pictures up here. There are lots of really happy memories here, and I love that that's just a part of their everyday. Now we're back to the other side of the house where I'll show you the dining room. Come with me. So this is the dining room, billiard room. We use it as a formal dining room a few times a year. We host a lot, but we often host outside or more casually. This does get used Christmas, Hanukkah, Easter, etc., Passover, but most of the time it's a billiard room. And the reason we did that is because I don't love a space that just doesn't feel like it gets used on the regular. First of all, our homes, every square foot is precious, as we know. And I like the feeling of a space that is used and well loved. So my husband's a pool player. He played growing up. His mom and dad have a pool table on his third floor in his house in New Jersey growing up. So he and his twin brother grew up playing with their dad. And then he played all through college, and he's a really good pool player. So he is the one who uses this most of the time. We like to think our kids are gonna pick it up and they'll go to college as pool sharks, but we don't know. So far that has not happened. And the fun thing in this room, besides the fact that this pool table converts to a dining table, so right now it's set up for billiards, but when we're hosting dinners, it lowers, there's a mechanism underneath that lowers it, and we have pieces that go on top that create a dining surface. And it's really functional, and it's nice and wide, so we can seat 2 people at either end. I can seat 12 to 14 in here, no problem, which is great. But the other thing to mention, a couple things, are you can tell in here the ceilings are quite a bit lower than in the great room and the entryway. And that's a clue that this is the original Adobe hacienda. So this was the scale of the home when it was originally built. I'll show you the walls and the construction. It's really interesting, actually. But this room, when we bought the home, was a den family room. It didn't look anything like this, but it did have a nice big scale, and we use it as, it's a pass-through. It connects the entry to the more informal part of the house, which is the den, laundry room, mudroom, and my office. And when we were thinking about patterns to put in here, we really wanted it to be something that was enveloping and felt like a destination, which is how we landed on this amazing Ixel by Schumacher pattern, which is, you could look at it forever and ever and find new things all the time, which is part of the fun. The colors are repeating colors that we used, that we see from the citrus garden, fabric, wallpaper in the kitchen, but in a completely different scale. So that's something interesting to mention, is when we're thinking about choosing fabrics and wallpapers, we're really thinking intentionally about mixing scales. We don't want everything to be so big or super tiny. It's more interesting if things are a bit mixed. So this is the biggest scale pattern in our home by far as a mural. But you can see we mixed it with like a tinier print for the lampshades, and nothing like matches perfectly, but that's kind of part of the point. And things are a bit more interesting if they're not super matchy. So one thing to mention in here is we didn't have a need for we didn't have a place for a proper coat closet in our floor plan, because the natural spot for it would have been at the end of our entry hall, where we have a window out to the water. And I really wanted that window in the entry hall because it's obviously a peek to the view, and it's a hint at the whole reason for the floor plan laying out the way it does, which is to create sight lines to the water as much as possible. So I didn't want to block that area with a coat closet, and we really don't need proper coat closets much in Northern California, but we put this armoire here, and it does serve that purpose. So it's just a spot for people when they come to hang their coats. We have some tablecloths, and this is a fun piece. It was used by the San Francisco Theater Company as a piece on a set, and it has a doorknob on the inside because the actors had to be able to get in and out of it. So I think that's pretty fun. But it just serves it's a beautiful piece, but it serves a function, which is the goal with design always. So this birdhouse was a find at a vintage spot in our travels. And we don't really know much about it other than it's just a whimsical piece that our kids and nieces and nephews love. And my nieces actually added these little birdies. We had them out for one of our holidays. I think that was Easter, and they landed in the bird cage. So they've been here ever since. But it just kind of fills the space without being something that's cluttered, and it's easy to move if we're using this as a buffet. But most of the time it's here, and it's just something that we like to look at. Okay, next, let's head into the powder room. Before we get to the powder room, I'll show you a peek at the original construction so that you can appreciate what we were seeing when we bought the home. This is Adobe, this brick material. It wasn't this color when we bought the home. It was kind of a yellow beigey color, but it's essentially every wall in the original part of the home is made with Adobe. We've covered it up in some places with wood paneling, but it meant that we couldn't take any walls down in the original cottage, because if we did, we would be compromising the construction and the integrity of the home, because every wall is structural because they're all intertwined. And so we had to really get creative with our architect, who's wonderful, Jessica Fairchild, about how to use spaces that were once something else and integrate them into a floor plan that's completely new. The key was to think about the scale of the rooms that we had and forget about what they were being used for when we bought the home, and create a floor plan that flowed and featured rooms that we actually needed as a family. So this is the only space in the home, this little vestibule here, that doesn't really have it's not a living space. It was a teeny tiny little den when we bought the home that had a big sliding door here. We didn't need that in our floor plan, but it creates breathing room in our transition between the original part of the home and the new part of the home. And this window gets great light, so I love it for plants and decorative objet. So that's just decorative. These are actually my design closets. I have all of my fabric samples and textiles, wallpapers, metal samples, all of that are in these two closets. And then here is the powder room. So the powder room is a little tiny nook. It was just part of a tiny den previously. And it's wallpapered in one of my favorite patterns, green and white, of course, because I love green and white. And we put this overscale crazy painting on the wall. I had it spray painted in the same green that is the green we've used throughout the home, so it ties to everything else that's going on. And it's just a fun piece. It's not a family heirloom or anything. We found it in a vintage on a vintage hunt, but I love it, and it's the perfect colors. And then in here, I want to show you a collection. I've been collecting heron for my whole life, well, since I was in high school, and it's in our powder room, which is always a conversation starter. I love to do things that are a little bit irreverent. This is not traditionally where you would place your heron collection in the powder room, but I think it's fun, and it makes a collection that could be sort of like prissy or fancy feel much more approachable and down to earth, and I think more interesting in a way. When my family gifts heron, they gift, lots of people collect one color of heron, and in my family, they gift heron based on the color they think the animal should be. So like the bunny rabbit's pink, the dolphin's blue. So these are my family's interpretations of what colors these things should be. And I know basically when I got each one of these, who gave them to me, they're all really special. But people come out of the powder room and they're like, oh my gosh, I love your heron collection, which is fun. And this vanity is another conversation piece. This was a chest that was in one of my parents' friends' homes, and they were moving and they didn't want it anymore. And I said, you know what? It was just a marble top. It didn't have a sink in it. It was probably used in as a for maybe like a washstand in the old days. But I said, oh, I'll use it in our powder. It'll be perfect. It adds some patina, and I love the scale. And we had to build a base so that it would be like standard sink height. It was quite low, but don't be afraid to repurpose items and get creative. I just think they're much more interesting in some ways than buying a vanity like, stock. So that's fun. And this mirror is an example of a piece that adds texture and whimsy. It's just, current. It's not vintage, but it's interesting. And I know when kids come in here, they love to like play with these little things. Okay, I'll take you into the art room, game room next. Come on with me. Welcome to our game room, art room. When we first bought this house, it was set up as a kitchen. This was a kitchen and dining area. We obviously didn't need that in our floor plan because we've created it in the great room and we have a proper dining room. So we started to think about what we could use and what the ancillary spaces were around this area. We added these French doors. This was a window when we bought the home to create an indoor-outdoor connection. And then we use a table here that the kids and their friends use for games and art, and we like to keep art supplies out all the time because, again, it really encourages people to just pick. I find that if they're here, the kids and people who visit will pick them up and create, and we want them to use what's here and make themselves at home. It's sort of like putting a platter of vegetables out before dinner. If you put it out, people will eat it. So you have to just make things available. So that's why this is here. This cabinet is pretty to look at, but behind it and inside of it are all of our art supplies. So it's not like the prettiest thing to see, but I think it's nice to just take a peek because it really does hold a lot of items, and it's things that are organized enough that my kids can come and pull, and I see them, for school projects and when they're on summer break and such, they pull from here all the time and create. So we like to create those opportunities for families, and I think if you give people the tools to be creative, they will. So that's what all of this is. And then in here, so again, actually, this is interesting. You can see the Adobe everywhere in this room. This was the original material, and you can see what I mean. It's all connected. So all of the walls connect to one another, and if we tore one of the walls down, we would be stuck because that wall is structurally connected to the next, and we would have had to put up lots of posts and create structural integrity that we didn't really want to. Part of the charm of the home was the materials that they used, and I love the Adobe brick. So we leaned into it. I do like the idea of putting a little bit more modern, mixing a little bit more modern with a material like Adobe. So the Saarinen marble table is a good example of that. It's, glossy black Nero marble. It's traditionally maybe thought of as a more modern piece, but I think it really speaks to the other items that we have in the space. Again, the brick floor is a hint that you're in a space that transitions to the outside, to the exterior. So, and it also is just it's a very livable surface. It's imperfect. So if we spill, if somebody, makes a mess with art supplies, et cetera, it's no big deal. Totally wipeable, and you're never gonna see it. And then another example of the modern mixed with the more organic or traditional elements is this art piece. So this is a black and white photograph of Grand Central Station. My husband and I met in New York. My husband's from the East Coast. We lived in New York for 12 or 13 years before we moved to California. And so New York has a really special place in our hearts. And this piece is by a photographer named Matthew Pillsbury, who plays with exposure. So you can see there's faint images of people here. He takes long exposure photographs, and these people would have been moving throughout the space for the period of time he was creating his work. But I just love this piece. It reminds me of really special years in New York, and our daughter was born there. And again, it's fun because it's not what's here. So when you look outside, you obviously aren't seeing New York City, which I love the idea of creating moments of destinations that are, art through art in a home. This art room, game room, is connected to what was originally a kitchen, and we use as, and have renovated as, our laundry room. So let me show you that. So in here, again, the brick floor is telling you that we're in an indoor-outdoor space. It was a really nice kitchen. It was a functional layout, but quite small. And you can see that the idea of the home wasn't so much about the view in the original cottage. It has really good energy. It has really good scale. It's really cute, but it's not about like a wow factor out to the water, which is interesting. It's just a different way of building and thinking about views. But the scale of the space does support a beautiful laundry room. So we've hidden our washer dryer back here, which, we don't have. I think we have doors on 3 or 4 bathrooms and our bedrooms, and that's it. Everything else is open floor plan. So, this is easy to switch the wash, easy to use while we're living in the rest of the house. It's a very casual lifestyle, which I love. This was the original placement of the sink, but now it's used as more of an art sink or a laundry sink, or we cut flowers here and create flower arrangements from this area. We've got a dog, so this is her dog crate. And I don't love looking at a dog crate all the time, so sometimes if we're entertaining, I will pull the curtain over, which is fun. This is just a little Liberty pattern from that UK fabric maker, which I love, Liberty. And we also have a kitty. That is her litter box back here. So we've just hidden things in plain sight, which is a nice trick. And then through here is our mudroom. So this is the way that our family comes and goes almost all the time. Guests and extended family come in through the front door, but we come in through this door, and it never looks this neat. This is actually pretty good for us. But we've got one thing that's special in here. Well, a couple things to show you are these fun hooks. These are brass. And I worked with an Australian brass artist, and she interviews clients, and you tell her about your family members, whoever you're creating for. So this is, my husband is a G for Greg, Jackie, Drew, and Courtney. And each one of these hooks represents things about our personalities, about our loves, our passions. So mine's kind of easy. There's a dog, I love dogs, grew up with dogs. There's a chair for decorating. There's a whimsical element for all of my collection, and there's a heart in the back for love, like mama. Drew is a sailboat. He loves the water. Building, this is a screw and a nut and bolt. He loves to build, and he loves to play sports. Jackie is she loves an elephant as a lucky charm. It was on her birth announcement. She loves the sea, and she's a total entertainer. So this is a key to her home. And then Greg's is a kitty cat, a boot for hiking, and he's a wine connoisseur. So he loves to taste, and we go up to the wine country often. So those are just fun. I mean, they're often covered up with all of our stuff, but I think the more personal elements like that you can add to a home, the more of a story a home has. And like I said before, even if a person who's entering your home doesn't know the story, you can feel like there must be a story there. And it just gives a sense that whoever lives here really cares about the details. And that's true, we do. The art on the walls is by my son. A few years ago, he did this collection of mushroom art, which I absolutely adore. I think if you can frame your kids' art, it's so beautiful. And it shows them that you really value their work, and that what they're creating is special and worthy of attention. And I think that's true. Our kids are all of the kids, are so collectively amazing. And it's nice to show them that, even if they don't admit it. I think they love seeing their art hanging on the wall. My daughter actually has a piece back here, which was created on the back of a kid's menu when she was maybe 4 or 5. The Smiths, I just love that. Her little leg kicked up, holding hands. We don't always look that happy, by the way, but I think it's super cute. Now I'm going to show you the den, which is the original living room in the home. So here we are. Welcome. This was actually the room that was sort of the most done when we bought the space. It functioned as a proper living room. And actually the front door to the cottage, when we bought it, was here. So you can see a header where the guitars are hung. That header was above the front door, and the front door was here. You walked in, there was a window in the game room instead of French doors, and you walked in, and this part of the living room functioned as sort of an entry hall, and then there was a sitting area over here. When we renovated, we created kids zone back here, and this is one of my favorite rooms in the house because it's really whimsical, it's really comfortable. We're not like kidding around with the size of this TV. I was like, you know what, lean in. It's where we come to watch movies and games, and the whole family can pile on to the sofa. The kids do big sleepover parties in here. They can sleep 2 on the sectional, and they can fit 4 air mattresses on the floor. So it's a comfortable room for 6 for sleepovers, which is so fun. This is all of our games. We have younger nieces and nephews. They come in here and pull stuff out. It's just like meant to be accessible and fun and colorful. The rug is super soft. The textiles are just a Etsy fabric. I mean, nothing precious. I added a really fun Schumacher trim to the lead edge of the drapery and the bottom of the Roman shade, just to bring some interest and texture. These chairs were a pair of chairs that were in our original home in Marin when we lived up north in Ross. And so they were the first items that we placed in here, which is why we're working with the purples in here. But it's just a fun spot, and we spend a lot of time in here. It feels like really, really approachable and warm and cozy. You do have the view, obviously, but it's not about the view. It's more about the TV and what's happening on this wall, which is fine. Like, not every room in a house like this needs to focus on the obvious view. In some ways, it's nice to bring the attention interior, into the interior, and create moments where that's not so much the focus. So that's what we're doing in here. And I'm glad you're here. It's so fun. I want to show you my office. Come with me. Welcome. This is my office. This is where I spend almost all daylight hours. Not really, but it feels like it. This pattern on the walls is a Peter Dunham fig leaf, and I've always loved this pattern. So when we started renovating and thinking about what would go where, I knew this was going to make it into my office because it's one that I've looked at forever and ever, and I love the colors and I never get sick of it. And it happens to work really well with lots of the textiles and colorways we work with for clients. So it's not so bossy that I can't envision a scheme around it. The scarf on the wall was one of my mom's scarves that I framed as art. This is actually a great tip. We do this for clients a lot. This makes what might be an expensive piece to wear, an Hermes scarf or a Gucci scarf, or this isn't branded. I just love the colors and pattern. But what might be an expensive piece of clothing is actually a really affordable piece of art. So art can be really expensive, and to think about a silk textile as art is kind of nice. They are often quite big, so they pack big bang for the buck, and they have high impact. So I love this piece here. It makes for a really nice background when we're doing video calls with clients. And in here, I mean, I've got my collections of design books. I have sentimental items all up above my desk, which is nice because I sit here and do calls with clients and my business partner, and it's nice to just be reminded of the reason we're doing this beyond creating really wonderful spaces for clients. It's about like providing for our families as well. So those are really wonderful reminders. Oh, that's an award we won in 2024 with Lux. We won for Regional Wow Factor Room. That was for the dining room, billiard room with the mural walls. So that was a fun honor. That was the first award we won as a design team. One other thing that I should show you is something that my business partner had created for me, and it's really special. It's in the dining room. So if you just pop around here, I'll show it to you on this chair. This pillow, be ready when the luck happens. This is a quote by Ina Garten. I read her book. She wrote a fabulous memoir, and I said to Sarah, gosh, that would be such a great pillow. You know how the lots of pillow, like there's a lot of great sayings that are on embroidered pillows and they're kind of kitschy and fun. And she remembered that and had it made for me by a needlepoint artist in the Ukraine, I think. I just absolutely adore it. And it's such a good reminder because it's the first thing you see when you come through from the old side of the house into the new side through the entry to the great room. And I like that it's just a little reminder to be, to be ready and to have perspective. Welcome to the Cassita. If you were our guest, this is where you'd be staying. So this is another collaboration with Sharon Lee, who is a wallpaper textile designer and a fine artist. She created the pattern on the wallpaper and the fabric, and I absolutely love pink, but I felt like I couldn't embrace like so much pink in our main house because I have a husband and a son who they are pink lovers as well, but this is a lot of pink. So the Cassita is the perfect place for it. It feels very vacation. The palm fronds are really echoing what's happening outside. We have a humongous date palm in our front garden and we have palms scattered throughout. So I love that this is a reference to what is happening outside. We've created a floor plan where we have 2 singles instead of a king or queen, and that's just to accommodate different combinations of guests. We sometimes host couples, but we oftentimes host friends or any iteration of visitors. So this room gets a lot of use. We love it. It's really happy. Another special thing about the wallpaper and fabric are that Sharon's mom actually is also represented in this room. She's a fine artist as well, and she created the panels that flank the window. So that's Sharon's mom's art on top of Sharon's art, which I think is really fun and cool. You can see their similarities in their work, but it's obviously they each have their own distinct style and references to Korean culture and symbols, which is really beautiful in my mind. The roses are from our garden. We're in rose season right now, so I love to cut flowers from the garden. I don't buy a lot of flowers because they don't last long in my house. Maybe that's everybody's house. So we tend to lean in on plants. We've got a fern here. We use a ton of ferns, but they tend to last a lot longer, and I love the greenery. So we've got plants in almost every space. This room has a little fridge, so guests feel comfortable grabbing, and a full bath. It's super comfortable for up to a week or so at a time. And we didn't add a refrigerator because we really want our guests to spend time with us and come up to the main house most of the time, but it's an escape and our family and friends love it. So I'm glad you're here. We're in the bathroom of the Cassita, and I wanted to mention another idea for art, which is these are our children's first year portrait outfits, but you could put any sort of outfit, anything meaningful, sports paraphernalia, whatever, anything that brings meaning or has meaning for your family this is a fun idea, just a shadow box. I use them because we have portraits of our kids in these up in the main house. And also I just loved the colors and they work perfectly with what's going on in here. But that's also really affordable and accessible art. This piece is a block print of Venice, and one of my mom's best friends gifted that to me when we lived in New York and took our first trip to Italy. I absolutely love it. It was framed exactly the way it is, and the green is obviously my very favorite. So we're in the shower room, the water closet, and the thing to mention in here is this is a wallpaper, one of the 13 in our home, and it's just a little hatch pattern by Sharon Lee, same designer who did the wallpaper in the main room, but it's the background of that palm fabric. So it's just a repeating texture and pattern, which does create cohesion in a space. We like to repeat things in subtle ways like that. So her line allows us to do that really beautifully. And I love that it's just a subtle amount of color, and it's very painterly and beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna take you to the lower garden where we have our cutting garden and vegetable garden. Come with me. Welcome. So this is really my husband's domain. He is a gardener. He took that hobby up about, well, maybe right around COVID actually. And so we created these vegetable beds a couple of years ago. He's growing, I know a couple of the things that he's growing. He has broccoli growing here. We have carrots here. And then we have other vegetables here. I don't actually know what all is here. I just know that they're delicious when they come out of the garden, and they look beautiful down here. So we use this space functionally for gardening, but also it's a great entertaining space. We sometimes, if we're hosting a party, we'll set up cocktail rounds down here and a bar, and it's just a really beautiful spot to be. It's sort of protected from the wind, but the views are obviously really beautiful, and it feels really private and green and lush. So the most recent addition down here are these two cutting boxes. So these are flowers that I love for bouquets. They just went in a couple of weeks ago. The boxes were built about a month ago, so they're not really, we're not cutting them yet, but you can see that we'll have a nice amount of flowers for bouquets inside when they get going. Geraniums are a flower that I always think of my mom and grandmother when I see them, because my grandmother had them growing outside of her front door for many years, red geraniums. So they are, I think they're really beautiful, and they are sentimental for me. So that's why we have those. We have these Sally Holmes roses. They're on their last legs, but I couldn't bear to have them pruned before you got here because I wanted you to see them. The idea is that they will eventually grow up and over this trellis. I hope you'll come back and see them. They're making good progress on this side, but they're really happy in this location. You'll see them at our front arbor as well. So again, outside we try to do the same thing that we do inside, which is repeat textures and plantings. So the Sally Holmes being in both locations is purposeful. We worked with a really wonderful landscape designer, Danielle Ellis. He's local, and he helps us select all of the different plantings for the yard. We have a pretty interesting microclimate in Marin. If you travel 3 miles north or south, completely different things would grow in their yards. So it takes a little bit of fine tuning to figure out what works. I think we're almost there. So the lavender obviously is really happy. We leaned in on anything that had a Mediterranean feel because that's the style of the home and the site. And those plantings tend to be really happy here. So that's a happy coincidence. And we do have some fruit trees around the property. You'll see the tree up here that's fully almost blooming. This tree here that's a little bit, it looks a little bit sad, but it will be blooming soon. And then there's another one up at the corner of the Cassita. Those 3 are apple trees. So they do produce fruit, which is fun. And we have 2 avocado trees, which I'll show you on the other side of the property. And let me show you this cutting garden as well. These, over here we have some sunflowers and hydrangeas. The hydrangeas are looking really, they're not taking yet to the sun, they're new. So we're just experimenting, but these were our wedding flowers. So I wanted hydrangeas in our cutting garden. We'll see if they take, I'm crossing my fingers. I'm gonna take you up to another dining area and spa deck near our main house. Come with me. Welcome to our back dining deck. This is more of a private dining area. It's a bit more protected from the wind than the front garden, and we have a fireplace here, so it serves as a cozy spot for cooler nights. We often entertain here when we have smaller groups. We can seat 8, 10, 12 at this table. It's really meant to be a family spot for eating during the summer months, and we probably eat 90% of our meals out here from May to September, October. But I love it because it's really private and it's right next to the spa, which is right up here. So instead of putting a pool in, we have a climate where we could do a pool, but it is quite cool here a lot of months. And in the evenings, it does cool down a lot in Northern California. So we put a spa in because we figured we would use it more. And there's a rule about how far something is from a house and how much utility it gets for a family. So I figured if it's like literally 7 steps from the house, there's zero chance that we won't use it. We don't use it as much as I'd like, but it does get a fair amount of use, and it's really pretty to look at from inside. And obviously, if you're in the spa, you have a spectacular view of the bay, and it's easy access to this casual dining. Next to us, we turn the fireplace on and cozy up after a dip. So it's a really nice spot. It does draw my kids' friends, which I really love. They're always welcome, more the merrier. And it's been really nice to have. Okay, I'm gonna take you back inside and show you how everything connects. So come with me. And again, you can see we've transitioned from outside to inside, and we have that brick happening again, which is something that I mentioned before, but we've used brick everywhere where we've got landing places on the exterior and mimic those inside. So right outside of our kitchen is an outdoor kitchen, and this is the newest addition. That's a construction addition. This is again another example of where a problem became an opportunity. So we needed to put up a new fence, and I was looking at the fence from the kitchen window, and it was just not awesome. It felt like sort of boxed in and uninspiring. And so I had the idea to create a living wall with our landscape architect, and this is it. So now, instead of looking at a fence from the kitchen window, I'm looking at this beautiful greenery. It's like obviously very happy. You can see it's growing out of control. And we're still kind of dialing it in. Like, we have to figure out what plants can go behind the barbecue without scorching. We've made a few adjustments, but that's sort of the way these things are. And we absolutely love it. So there's a sink out here. We often use this for cutting flowers. This is like a super easy zone to clean up. I don't worry about any of that. This is a griddle. So anything that's fried goes out here. I hate to clean up the fried stuff inside. Not that we fry that much, but if it's messy, it's here. And then our barbecue. And it's really easy, access from the kitchen. But what I love about it is that it's beautiful to look at. The tile is the same tile that we used in the spa. Again, it's that repetition of materials and patterns that brings some cohesion to a home. Even though you're not seeing the tile at the same time, your brain and your memory recollect that you've seen that before, and it makes sense. So, I love looking at it from the kitchen. Okay, I'd love to take you to our front garden. Come with me. So this is a spot we use year-round, fire pit and chairs, and we cram people in here. I mean, we've had 25 people sitting around. The ledge around the edge here is a nice seating height. That was purposeful. So people scoot in. When it's not fire pit season, we use this as a table. We throw big platters of appetizers on here, and it's just always really beautiful and nice. Even in the cold months, it's wonderful because this does kick off a lot of heat, but obviously it's all about the view. So we love this area and spend a lot of time here. When we bought the home, it was sort of overgrown and there wasn't really a front garden to speak of, so we knew that was a big opportunity. The lower yard was also quite overgrown, and there was a big concrete sort of parking situation in the lower garden. So we got rid of that, and the property just presented a lot of opportunities for improvements. We knew, because we were building during COVID, we were really sensitive to being really purposeful about the spaces that we were creating and wanting to create destinations on our property that we would use all seasons, both as a family of 4, but also for our extended family and friends. So we thought a lot about what the different parts of our property could be, and I think we arrived at solutions and moments that are really special and that we actually do use. We've created reasons to go to the different parts of our property, so that's really nice. So over here is our dining situation for bigger parties. So we've set the table for 8 tonight because my family's coming over, but we can seat more, and we often do. And this is the area where we're standing is the top of the Cassita that we just toured. There's a 1-car garage attached to that Cassita guest room, and this dining deck is the top of that structure. So this was not, the Cassita and 1-car garage, lower garage, were not a part of the property when we bought it, and those were an addition. And when we added that addition, we created more flat space in our front yard, which is really nice. So we use this a lot, and I love it. We always seat guests on this side, obviously, but there's not a bad view in Northern California. We're so lucky to live here, and I'm so glad you visited today. Thanks for coming, Homeworthy. It's been so much fun. Come back soon. I'm gonna go get ready for our dinner party. Take care, bye.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Laura Chung Wolf. Welcome to my home in Hong Kong. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hello, my name is Laura Chung Wolf, founder of Lala Curio, home decor brand that specializes in hand-painted, hand-embroidered wallpaper. Welcome to my home. So Hong Kong, as you all know, is one of the most cosmopolitan cities in the world. And in this concrete jungle, the beauty of it is that there's stunning, stunning nature. So for me, the most important part of the home is to have a beautiful, unobstructed water view. And here we are in Clearwater Bay, Silver Strand. It is a villa, and it is quite unusual in Hong Kong, as most of the houses are of apartments and skyscrapers. So I love the openness of it and the stunning sweeping views of only water and islands. And we have a rooftop and a small patio in front. It's perfect for our little family of four. I work with panoramic scenic wallpaper for work, focusing on reinventing artisanship. So the most important part of me in the interior is to celebrate these old crafts and making it relevant and usable for a home. Since my deepest passion and mission in life is to reinvent ancient artisanship, it is only natural that we bring in all these elements within our home. And with two young kids, it's interesting to see how we can weave in these delicate, intricate crafts into a very comfortable, usable space. Welcome to my entrance foyer. You'll see in the dome ceiling is upholstered with antique obies, the belt of a kimono. I now live in Washington, D.C., and one of my favorite rooms in the history of decorative arts is the Peacock Room that is now at the National Museum of Asian Art at the Freer Gallery. And here we are, our version of the peacock, greeting you as you enter in the space. Over here in our salon, we have a lovely sliding door depicting a snow scene. This is our tone-on-tone hand-embroidered panel depicting snowflakes sparkling on branches. And this opens up to our TV wall. And here, one of my favorite decorative screens in the house, it depicts a jungle scenery of monkeys chasing Birkin bags. Who doesn't like Birkin bags? Our sofa is very casual and very comfortable. The kids can bounce on it. This one is super fun. It's a rocking bamboo chair. The kids love playing with this. We love the different finishes, from the chagrin that you see here to this goat skin parchment that you will see on the coffee table. It's all very subtle, but the different textures and materials really make a beautiful ensemble. The tiles on the floor are all hand painted as well, and it is on volcano rock. And then here, this is also of goat skin too, on Macassar wood. So we just love the interplay of different materials. Welcome to our dining area. Here we have an antique base for our dining table with a custom limestone tabletop. All the chairs are 18th century antique, and we reupholstered them in a very happy yellow. Here we are in our open kitchen and playing tribute to blue and white Chinese porcelain. We have modeled our kitchen in the blue and white theme, and every single tile that you see here are hand painted in an underwater poetic theme, and modeling my two children, Enzo and Maya, as babies, sitting in shells and looking like mermaids and sleeping on fish as well. Very playful and super cute. And here on the countertop, we've used lapis lazuli and juxtaposed with this lovely antique brass sink that we ordered from England. The tiles on the floor are typical Hong Kong tiles from the 70s, and these are so charming with the retro vibe, and we love mixing the ensemble together. When I'm in Hong Kong, I mostly enjoy Chinese home cooking meals, and part of the joy is the sharing of food with the family and friends, and the way that we eat is all for sharing, and there's many different dishes for every meal. My American husband likes to say that it looks like Thanksgiving every single day. Now let me show you our tiny little jewel box, our guest bathroom. An absolute gem. You're literally transported into the underwater world. There's the lovely coral ground of stunning sea fans and corals and anemones richly embroidered, and the jellyfish that are depicted in such a fluid manner, and the layers and layers of embroidery works that you will see up close with pearls and beadwork that makes it so fluid and three-dimensional. Now we're going up the winter garden stairs onto the next floor. This is our winter garden stairwell, depicting this architectural triage, trellis work that has vines crawling through the lattice work. And we call this collection the Lucky Charm. It is all the lucky totems from all different cultures, over 30 of them. Everything from grasshoppers to phoenix to horseshoe to acorns, clover leaves. Every single time I walk by, I find new treasures. I absolutely love the kids' room, and I have always dreamt of creating the dream bedroom for them and connected to a playroom. And our playroom opens up into a multifunctional space where it's also a meditation and yoga room as well. Whilst it's very dreamy, very poetic, it's also very playful. The kids' bedroom ceiling is incredible because we have taken my son Enzo and my daughter Maya's horoscopes and worked out a constellation map and hand painted and hand embroidered it on silk. So here we're in Enzo and Maya's room. They share a room. I have very young kids, 4 and 6 years old. And the wallpaper that you see at the back is the Adobe Giving Tree collection. The Giving Tree is one of our favorite storybooks of all time. And we honored the Giving Tree with our wallpaper over here that is all hand painted and richly embroidered, like little lollipops on the tree. And then up here on the ceiling, we have Enzo and Maya's horoscope drawn as a constellation map and gold leafed and hand embroidered and sparkles. They love counting stars when they go to sleep. And then Enzo's favorite animal, the giraffe. With the giraffe guardians, we have over here a sliding door that opens up to our playroom and also our meditation room as well. And this beautiful jungle scenery with lovely yellows and sages are hand embroidered with raffia and wooden beads. This is a chair from Africa. As we walk through this space, you'll see a lovely African collection from primitive masks to what we have here of old relics, moldings from dilapidated architecture that has been turned into a chair. I like to start with a color palette, but I really am notorious with throwing things together and somehow making it work. So I do believe that it's also a natural sensibility, but I love telling stories through every object that I place within the space, from the details of the curtains that you see here, which is of Japanese antique obies that we have cut up and turned into the trim of our blinds, to the wood block printing from India, of our quilts, hand embroidered Italian linens of the kids' names, to of course the rich embroidered textures of pearls and sparkles and paillettes on the ceiling, and also with our little three-dimensional pom-poms on the walls. In here is our goldfish dreaming room. My husband and I do yoga and meditation in this room with Japanese tatami floors, and all the toys are hidden inside these lovely wardrobes, and the kids have a great time playing here. And if you look up, the ceilings are also of our goldfish dreaming collection, where you see golden gilded clouds and silly little goldfish flowing amongst seaweed and corals, hand embroidered with natural freshwater pearls, and then you see the tips of the bamboo. It's really a dreamy, poetic merge of the clouds, bamboo, and also underwater goldfish. That's why we call it goldfish dreaming. So we're 3 generations specializing in imperial crafts, and my training is as an interior designer. I went to school at Parsons, New York, and practiced as an interior designer in New York and London. And so 11 years ago exactly, I started my brand Lala Curio, and it is a home decor brand specializing in hand-painted, hand-embroidered wallpaper. And we're driven by the mission to reinvent and preserve these ancient crafts, making it fashionable and relevant again. And we are a global company. I'm now based in Washington, D.C., and we also opened our flagship at the Peninsula Hotel in Hong Kong. We like to bring in global perspective into our work. So I was born in Sydney, raised in England and Hong Kong, and having lived in New York, Paris, Tokyo, you really see the cultural alchemy within our work. It's whimsical. There's definitely a whimsical spirit in what we do. We have a team of 20 artisans who specialize in fashion couture embroidery in India, and also our 2,000-year-old Gongbi painting technique in our hand-painted atelier in Suzhou of China. So my grandmother specialized in cloisonné, and cloisonné is an imperial craft back in the day, only being used in the Forbidden City. And I had photos of myself as a 2-year-old playing in her atelier, riding on cloisonné elephants and surrounded by beautiful, intricate cloisonné objects. And this has definitely shaped my knowledge and taste for decorative arts. I did my master's in London in history of decorative arts as well. Everything sort of comes back in full circle, and I am so happy to be able to continue the lineage and in promoting crafts, and hopefully enticing younger generation to be a part of this journey and making sure that the crafts don't get lost for future generations. Welcome to our primary bedroom. Here, this room, the color palette is to celebrate the season of fall. We have lovely maple leaves that are all tie-dyed and hand-embroidered with an applique technique on sisal, and dressing our backdrop feature wall. The same design is spread onto our quilted bedding, and also with matching pillows as well. And then this other headboard also has one of my favorite Japanese obies collections. I love to repurpose collections of fabrics into something that I can use every day. And then in this hidden door is my wardrobe. Love this. This is my winter jacket. I literally can just wear anything from t-shirt to jeans to a fabulous dress, and I throw this on and I feel super fabulous. And then pink, just like a brand Lala Curio, this pink Jean-Baptiste Valli blazer is also very versatile. So I run in and out of meetings in this. I pick up the kids in this, and I always get lovely compliments because of its kimono cut and with the waistline that makes you look super chic. And you know, sometimes even in my workout clothes, I slip this on and it's a new look. This floor is a basket weave design that has combined 3 different woods of maca tree work. And we love the contrast of the colors and something that might look super busy in the space, but then works so harmoniously within the interior. So here in Hong Kong, we are very limited in space. So the design of the house is very much factoring into doubling up functions within rooms. So here we have sliding doors with our ginkgo, majestic ginkgo designs. And you see the green and the yellow here. That's also of a tie-dye technique, hand embroidered and with golden beads on Thai silk. It sets the walls that open up to our stunning water view and also our study room. So this opens up fully. So you get all the fresh air and the sweeping views. And this is where we do our work. We traveled extensively in Europe to search for antiquity. My family is in the decorative arts and furniture business as well. So at some point we brought a lot of European antiques into Asia as well. And then this particular piece is from Belgium. Always think about interiors as painting in a 3-dimensional space. It's all about composition, highs and lows, and scale, and also highlighting special objects like our one of my favorite pieces from my grandmother's collection of a cloisonné vase. It is on bronze. All the patterned cherry blossoms that you see here are are bent into shape with bronze wire, filled in with enamel layer by layer, fired and burnished and gilded in 24 karat gold. It's just the intricate details that you would get of cloisonné that are antiqued, or a lot of our collection is from the 70s. You really can appreciate the intricate craft as you look closer with the key fret design that is so minute and so detailed and with so much details. And of course, here are my collection spans from food to design to Chinese poetry to Chinese literature as well. One more item is the 3 of us. This is of me, my sister, and my brother, the 3 of us. So the 3 of us are super close. And I got this piece from, it's from our African collection, and it's all hand carved, and it's so geniusly hooked in as a, and connected together seamlessly. I just think it's a very chic piece that looks great on a bookshelf. There's a little terrace out there for a morning stretch and some fresh air. And then over here is our bathroom. And our bathroom is inspired by, you definitely see Oriental Japanese motifs here. The everything is made bespoke and inspired by the aesthetic movement, one of my favorite art movements, celebrating beauty for the sake of beauty, and the Oriental motifs that are within this period as well. And this is made of burl wood with hand-painted chrysanthemum. And this lovely big mirror also allows me to share my collection of Japanese ceramics. The tiles are actually from Spain, and you'll see the different shades of teals and blues, and really giving it a cerulean feeling that leads you into the open air of the stunning water view by the bathtub. I'm super close with my dad, and we both share the creative streak and reinventing old crafts. So for him, his way of collecting, he always does these very bold moves, like buying up an old temple in India and collecting every single piece of column and ceiling woodwork that he would then turn into furnishing pieces or decorating them in interiors. And then our next phase was collecting African primitive wood carvings, and he has done extensive travel out in Africa, and here is part of this collection that we get to enjoy in our little journey up to the rooftop. Entertaining at home is a storytelling process. We go through each of the space and introduce our scenic wallpaper that means a lot to our family. Everything from the details of the hand-painted tiles on the kitchen where we share a drink, to traveling up to the rooftop where the stunning sweeping views of the water view with the islands surrounded by palm trees bring you to anywhere from Amalfi Coast to the south of France. We definitely spend great attention to details in entertaining, everything from our tabletop hand-embroidered linens to our stunning porcelain that we have a great collection of, from antique to bespoke, and also exploration of different flavors. We love of course, the Asian flair, but also very cross-cultural. But our style of entertaining is very free flow and definitely more on the casual side, although we love to dress up and be whimsical and fashionable, as we always are. Here's our hideaway from the city, this lovely little rooftop. This is where we take a drink, do a little barbecue, and enjoy nature. We did this lovely hand-glazed tile collection for the interior of Soho House in Hong Kong. And we had some extras from the order, and we managed to repurpose them to create this lovely island kitchen on our rooftop. Love it that we don't have to have these beautiful material to waste, and also creatively figuring out of the few pieces that we have remaining how we can create a surface with it by making this checkered pattern with the two colorways. We wanted a Mediterranean vibe to our rooftop, and looking at the floors, we had cracked limestones imported from France as the flooring, creating this really dramatic tiled floor, just like Greek islands, and also plaster work that is on our white little villa house. That is, you see the hand texture of the plaster work is also mimicking dwellings on Greek islands. And also these lovely dramatic terracotta flower pots that we have local tropical plants within. For me, the most important thing of the home is to narrate my personal story and my home. And for me, through the decorative objects that we have collected over the years, and some of the family collections, and also telling our stories through our murals, through our scenic wallpaper, is something that is very special to me. Everything from the seasonal changes, our love for skiing that's depicted in our TV wall, to the kids' horoscopes being shown in their ceiling constellation map, to our blue and white tiles that are hand drawing of our kids as babies. Each and every detail that highlights intricate crafts and also brings a fashionable flair of layers and textures within the space is an inspiration to me daily, whilst being very comfortable as a family.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Annie. Welcome to my home in Gulf Breeze, Florida. Let me show you around.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Thank you to Serena and Lily for sponsoring today's episode.
I'm Annie Malone, and I'm a lifestyle blogger at Home of Malones. We're in Gulf Breeze, Florida right now, just outside of Pensacola. And my husband and I built our home about 3 years ago, and it is on the Bay of Pensacola, looking over from Gulf Breeze into Pensacola. And we bought this lot almost 8 years ago actually to date. And there was another house on it, and we tore it down about 5 years ago and then started the process of planning our house and then building. And like I said, we just moved in just over 3 years ago. We immediately fell in love with the lot. We love the location of where we were kind of hidden, tucked back a little bit in Gulf Breeze proper, but on the bay, a little bit more high and dry than some of the waterfront lots in town. And there's beautiful big oak trees in our front yard. And again, we do kind of have a little bit of that elevation in the back because we get plenty of hurricanes here. So we knew this would be the perfect lot for us. It was wide, and we didn't know when we wanted to build. So we knew that once the lot was available that we had to jump on it. And the funniest story of our purchasing this lot was that I went into labor on, I went in about a week early having my second child, and I actually had to sign the closing documents for our house while in the hospital. Our attorney came to the hospital and met me because we had to get them signed that day. And so we'll never forget. So it was 8 years ago at Sacred Heart Hospital, and I'm signing the documents to purchase our lot. So we're not gonna let it pass us by. Welcome into our entryway. Come on in. When we were building the house and designing it, it was so important to us when we walked through the front door that you got this aha moment straight out into the water as soon as you walked in. And it's one of my favorite features when you walk in the house. So then when I was designing in here, I knew I wanted to keep the colors of the water. So we have still lots of blues, this big beautiful piece of art that just is really calming, and I loved the acrylic modern frame for it. And also, when I was doing this room, I knew that these Julie Neal lights were a must. I had fallen in love with them immediately, and this pair in our entryway were just, again, such a big wow in the room. So we've been so happy with that. This is one of my favorite antique pieces that we have in this house. It's the antique chest, and then this mirror comes separate. I found this for our house that we had in Pensacola. Fairhope, about an hour away, has some of the most beautiful antique shops for us. So this chest and this mirror were some of my favorite pieces that we were really able to use and mix in this house with some of the more modern and fun pieces of furniture as well. And so I love that look. Again, mixing the antiques with some of the more modern, fun furniture. When we were looking to decorate the house, I really wanted some good, fun color. As soon as we walked in, I get asked about this rug all the time. It's one of my favorite finds. It fit really nicely in here, but then brought in the colors from the house, as well as some fun pinks and fun pops that, again, that we use throughout the house. And you'll see as we go next door into our sitting room as well. I love to make the home or the house feel like a home, as they say. I think I have 3 young kids, ages 5, 8, and 10. And when we first built our brand new home, I wanted everything perfect and untouched, so it felt, but knowing that I had young kids, I knew we had to make it playful and areas where the kids were gonna be able to play and have their things. And so it's evolved over the last 3 years. But for me, I think just, again, just that light bright brings me joy every day. And then making sure that it's a place that everybody feels comfortable. We entertain a ton, my husband and I. We love to have people over for dinner and entertain for football games and outdoors during the summer, pools and boating. So again, it's something I like to keep nice and pretty, but also comfortable for everybody to feel welcome. You know, I think my style definitely has become like a coastal chic style, being that we're on the water now. But I have a lot of family in New Orleans, and I've always kind of had a love for some of the antiques, like the old mixed with the new. This house is definitely white and bright, with kind of your cooler colors, the light blues, the light greens, and a little bit of pink. I love my little splash of pink in it. But I think overall the feel is going to be pretty light and bright. And as we see the house, definitely you'll see a strong sense of blues throughout, which is my favorite color. Come on into my ladies' lounge, as we call it now. This is the one room that I was talking about earlier, that originally when we built this house, it was our office. I had a desk in the middle of the room with these built-ins, and I used it as my study or office. And the more and more we were living in the house, I just realized it was always a mess. It wasn't super functional for us and as for the whole family, and that we were really missing a space that had more of a cozy nook or just cocktail lounge area. And there is nothing that makes me happier than having a room that has 4 chairs that swivel and meet in the middle. So there is a coffee table underneath this table, but at the moment I am highly mahjong obsessed. So this is just a foldable card table that I have placed on top. And this is where we sit and play mahjong, which has been so much fun. As well as the kids and I will come in here. We'll play cards and family game night. And again, they've even gotten into mahjong, which has been really, really fun. So these chairs are from Coley Home, and they turned out so beautiful. We used our own fabric to really give it a fun pop in here. And my friend Kelly at Salt Home Studio just helped bring this whole vision to life. And it has been it's just turned out to be one of my favorite rooms. Again, some of my Instagram followers I polled to ask, and Ladies Lounge became the very favorite name. And so now I kind of jokingly call it the Ladies Lounge. I want to show you guys something really cool about this room. So we have a secret door, and we designed this as easy access to get into my closet from the front door. So this door opens up and goes into my master closet, and has been so much fun and so useful that who knew when we were building it, but it has been one of my favorite features of the whole house. So the bookshelves in this room have all been redone recently. When I went from the office to a more sitting lounge, I kind of made sure that I made these look pretty and fun. So some of them are old pieces, some are new, but I really took a moment to try to style this whole room kind of, again, fun and light with all the colors that I love. So I have some special little pieces that I kind of just popped in within pictures, family pictures. And again, I think bookshelves can be so hard, but if you can take a minute and do some groupings of things of books, picture frame, boxes, it really does take a minute, but it really is so fun to put together. So I've had fun with these. This is one of my favorite features. This has moved all around our house, but it's just a coffee table book holder with that acrylic stand. And I always get compliments on it, and I think it just makes a nice, clean feature throughout the house. These books are some of my favorite to decorate with. These Asselines, they've got all different cities all over, and you'll find them in all different little pockets of my house. I absolutely love them. So again, just different shapes, different sizes. I've just played around with these shelves, but there's little trinkets all throughout that I really love and have collected over the last few years. All right, now if you want to follow me into our family room, I'd love to show you there. Now we're in our family room. One of my favorite features of this house, again, is just that, or in this room, is that we've got all the bright lights coming from outside. The natural light is so beautiful with the look out into the pool, into the water. It's just serene. But this is the main area that our family hangs out in. The kids always have their games out here, arts and crafts. It's where the whole family congregates, where we watch TV the most. And I wanted it to feel clean and beautiful, but also comfortable for everybody to be in here. And I think we've mastered that pretty well. It's very open into our kitchen and dining room. I did brave white or light couches. They are a performance fabric that I've been able to clean, but with kids, you never know. So I've loved these Lee couches very, very much in the house, and we're 3 years in, we've done okay. And one of the things I laugh about is my husband did have one request. I got to pretty much pick and choose everything that we wanted in this house. And one of his big requests is that he wanted some type of recliner in his home. So I couldn't just have your everyday recliner in here, but we took to our own fabric and used a company called I think it's American Leather Company, the American Leather Company, and we were able to use our own fabric, and they had these pretty chairs that still work as recliners but look good in the house. And he was happy and I was happy, and I felt like that was a win-win. So any of you that have the same challenges in your house, there are ways to do it that look nice. We've been really happy with these chairs. Our coffee table, again, gets a lot of love here. This is where the kids still pull out all their artwork and all their crayons and things. So trying to decorate the coffee table, it's always a work in progress. You can see these same pretty coffee table books. I love to keep a candle here for charm, and these blue candlesticks have been some of my favorite finds. People always ask me where I get those. You can now get them on Amazon. And right now I have this beautiful bowl filled with flowers. These pieces kind of come and go and move, and I'm always changing, but right now I love the feel of the coffee table. It gives space for everybody to be and play, and not too dainty that it's gonna get knocked over by kids and cause a mess. So same over here in our bookshelves. It's kind of try to use the same rule of thumb for styling. I mix some picture frames and ginger jars and raffia and neutral colors with books and small pieces. So things that I've collected over the years and just played with. We keep these cabinets closed, which is always nice because this is where we hide all the kids' stuff. So when I say that there's arts and crafts around, we've got arts and crafts so they can grab. On the other side, we have all of our games for the kids. So again, they like to be downstairs. They like to be with us. So we try to keep it friendly for them as well. Books, TVs. I always feel like people like to look and see where the messy things are. My daughter's tea set's still down here. We use a lot of the raffia, these cute little. These are some of my favorite little statues that we've had up here, and it gives me my pop of pink. Lastly, in this room, I have to point out these beautiful lamps. My decorator, Lacey Phillips, she helped in the whole house, and she does an incredible job, but she found these lamps. And again, the second I saw them, I said, those have to be in our house. The blues are so pretty in it. It's such a beautiful pop in our room. So we have a set here in the family room, and they are absolutely one of my favorite pieces that pop out in this room. So now if you want to come take a look into my kitchen, come along. So the kitchen, I always say, is the heart of the home. This is where I spend a ton of my time, where the kids sit up at the bar, where we host family, cook all of our meals, and enjoy a ton of time. I think one of my favorite things in the house that we did in the kitchen, and I think it's totally okay, is using things like mixing metals. So we have the golds up here, but then the polished nickel in the pot holder or in our sink. I think it's a beautiful mix of both tones, and you're okay that not everything has to all be the same metal. You can even see in our ovens, we've kind of mixed the silver and the gold knobs, which I think is such a fun and different look that I don't see that much. And again, if you're considering and contemplating, I think a nice mix is perfectly acceptable in a kitchen. I love to cook, and I'm in here a lot. So a nice dinner with the whole family sitting down is one of my favorite things in the world. So we do a lot of Italian and some Cajun mixed in. My family's all from New Orleans, so we love like crawfish etouffee and jambalaya and gumbo. I do a lot of chicken, like pan-seared chicken dishes with whether it's a marsala sauce or a chicken parmesan. We do a lot of that type of food in our kitchen. In fact, tonight we're making the seafood pasta. That's one of my mom's famous dishes. We are very lucky to have a place called Joe Patty's. That's like the ultimate seafood market of all of the country, in my opinion. But we get really, really good seafood. So we're doing a lot of fish, a lot of crab meat, and we do crab cakes a lot. That's one of my very favorites. So I share a lot of recipes on my blog, so you can find some there. But my kids, during the summer, my husband and my kids are out on our dock, and honestly, they catch fresh fish and we will cook it that night, or we'll fry it up in the summertime. So we really do, I joke sometimes, just the freshness of some of our meals is pretty amazing. So it was important to me that we had a very big island that we could sit, all the kids or all the family or the kids and their friends up at our island. So these are such fun chairs that kind of give that fun beachy vibe. We started out with just 4 of them on this counter, and within a few weeks of living in the house, I said, I need one more. If it's one more, we've got to have 5 up here. I have 3 kids, and we've always got extra kids here at the house. So I love having all these bar stools for the kids to come play. They eat up here. They put their placemats up here and have and play Play-Doh. Again, when mom's in the kitchen cooking, guess where the kids want to be? They want to be right here next to me. So it really is fun to have this big island that they can all sit at and eat at and play. Spring and summer just bring me so much joy because being out on the water is my favorite part about being in this house. But again, it's also being able to entertain and welcome our friends and family here at the house. We do holidays and random Saturdays. We love to have people over to share in our home and enjoy with our family. All right, now I'll show you into the dining room. This dining room opens up again to the water and to all the views. When we were designing this house, we went back and forth whether we were going to have a formal dining room that would have had to been in the front of the house without any views and a little bit more closed off and formal. But when we were looking at the plans, we said, where do you think we're going to want to sit? We're going to want to sit where we can see the views. So our dining room is kind of a formal but yet very inviting space that we sit at day and night. We have our breakfast here, our lunch, dinner, and we love, again, to entertain. So it's not uncommon for us to have this table set for 8 people and have a fun dinner party right here. And this is, again, where we do all of our entertaining and eating, both casual and fancy. So it's been one of my favorite rooms. These chairs were such a nice find. Again, my decorator helped me find these. I can't remember the source, but we used custom fabric and had all the seat covers covered, and they've taken a little beating with my kids. So, but the good news is that I can always recover them again if we need to. But again, the light, bright, they're comfortable. They feel really good in this space. So I want to show you guys this piece of art. This has been a really fun addition. This happened a couple years ago. I had a photographer come, she's from Birmingham, and she came and took underwater pictures of my kids in our pool. And so this is them. And they, then we used an artist local here in Pensacola named Sarah Sol Webb, and she painted from the pictures that we took. She did this painting, and it is one that I'll treasure forever. Again, I loved that it was just the kids enjoying the house, enjoying the pool, not with their faces, but just a fun artistic view in our dining room. So that always brings me joy. I would say the biggest piece of advice that I was given when we built our house was that you're never going to have it perfect the first time, but do your research and write down your list. So during our building process, I tried to share on our blog to help others of, the 5 best tips that you can give, because you learn so much along the way. And again, this is the second house my husband and I have built. We certainly did things wrong. But we did, we did a lot right. And you don't know until you've lived in the house what you're going to want and how things are going to flow. And again, when you're building for young families, we had 3 babies at the time, it seemed like, when we got here, and now they're getting bigger, and your change and your needs evolve. So I think, doing your research, we've got so much at our fingertips with online resources. Find what your style is, and when you're building, take the time looking for those little extra, I feel like it's when it comes to cabinets and organization and all those things, there's a lot of really great tips out there, and I was like, oh, I wish I'd done that. Here we are 3 years into our house, and I've already just changed our first room in the home. So I think it takes living in it until you know. All right, well, I talked about entertaining. Now I've got to take you into my bar. I want to show you this little space that we've really loved having, a little small nook that welcomes guests for making cocktails, having wine, whatever we need. So my favorite Estelle glasses are all displayed here on our glass shelves, and then we keep in all the cabinets is our liquor and wine glasses. And we keep our ice maker in here. And one of our favorites is a refrigerator drawer. If you don't have these are so much fun to keep in the house. So refrigerator drawers in here. We even keep our second dishwasher for when we have extra cups. There is a dishwasher built in. We kind of packed it all into this tiny little space. But again, it's got such good pop. These tiles that I picked out just bring in, again, the gold from the kitchen and add so much charm, and it makes for a really happy, fun space when we're entertaining. Speaking of entertaining, let me show you into our entertaining closet where I keep all the goods for when we entertain. All right, welcome into the entertaining closet. So this is one of these rooms that started out as a pretty empty closet in our house. We didn't know exactly what we wanted to do with it. So we lived in the house a few years, and I had just a kind of a removable shelf in here, and quickly it became a spot that I kept all of our plates and candles and candlesticks and wine glasses. And so about a year ago, I decided we needed to truly make it the entertaining closet. We hired Inspired Closets in Mobile to come in here and build these shelves for us and make it a true entertaining closet. So I keep our tablecloths, platters, all my extra plates, all of our candlesticks, all of our candles, and all my napkins. Everything that I need for entertaining is all in here in one space now, which I absolutely love. And I love that we waited and made it happen. All right, if you guys want to head into my primary bedroom next, I'd love to show you around. When you walk into the bedroom, I have the portraits of my children. That always makes me smile. Again, kind of that antique feel brought in. I know this is a little bit still something older school, but they make me so happy. I'm still waiting on my third is being done now, but Leon Lord out of Montgomery does these, and they're beautiful. They come and make the process so easy. The kids sit for pictures, and then you ship the pictures off, and they do the paintings for you, and they're absolutely beautiful. So those are just a treasure in my home that I hope my kids treasure when they get older. Welcome into our primary bedroom. So this is the spot that I knew wanted to feel calming and relaxed and just clean. So when we were going through it, I knew I needed those light blues with a little femininity of the pink that I've been able to use in here as well. So it started again, Leontine Linens and out of New Orleans has just always been one of my favorite linen companies. So I started with just the clean look of our bedspreads. And then my decorator found this gorgeous rug when she was in Atlanta that, again, brought in that blue, has the light pinks, just gave me all the feels that I wanted. And the rest of the room kind of came together. So we had these chests from our old house. Again, the antique chest. We have an amazing furniture store here called Duh that is local to us that has some really beautiful pieces. The lamps. We needed something big. We have 12-foot ceilings in this house, so we needed really some big pop and some height in the house. So we found these big, beautiful lamps that I absolutely love. And again, the headboard, giving some more height in here. One day I would love to wallpaper this room because I really think it could use some fun design on the walls. I've found the wallpaper that I love, but we'll see if that comes to fruition. So again, it's just a peaceful place. The curtains are really fun. We've got these gorgeous views that we can use, but they're also electric. If I can recommend anything, that's one of my favorite things. So it's set up to say, Alexa, close my curtains. Alexa, open my curtains. Which has been so nice. This piece of art was one of my early finds as well. Again, that acrylic frame that I love that gave that modern pop with the really soothing pinks that tied in from the rugs that we found with the blues and the pinks and really brought the whole color scheme together for us. And over here, this is where we watch TV. So if you guys have seen, this is the Samsung frame TV that we love. We have it in our family room and in here, but it looks like a piece of art, which is the ideal. And you can change out the art. Right now we've got a wintry piece. We need to update to spring, and you can change out. These are white frames, but it's all magnetic. So you can have wood. There's all different kinds of frames you can choose from, but it sits real close against the wall and gives that picture frame look, which I love. And then underneath, this was we used as a buffet table in our old dining room. Again, a beautiful antique we found over in Fairhope that I just adore, that brings in kind of the old antique feel to the room, and it fits beautifully underneath our TV. So I do store even more entertaining things in here sometimes, and it sits nicely underneath the TV for us. You know, I think everything from taking a trip with my family. We love to travel, and we love going anywhere from the mountains to the beach. But I would say the Caribbean is our favorite place in the whole world. And so being down in the Bahamas and seeing the coastal decor down there has been so inspiring to me. Amanda Lynn Roth has done some incredible spaces and homes down there, and I always feel so inspired by looking at her things. Anything down in Harbor Island, I mean, they have got such a beautiful sense of style. So I take a lot there, but again, also from people I follow on social media, on Instagram, the whole grand millennial style has become so popular, and those beautiful pale blues and pale greens again, any kind of raffia wicker, I've fallen in love with it. So right now I'd say that's my favorite style. Welcome into my primary bathroom. When we were designing this bathroom, we knew we wanted a his and her sink with plenty of cabinet space that we can utilize in the bathroom. So we went with kind of the grays to really pick up the marble that we've chosen. I knew I wanted these marble herringbone floors. You know, it was just something that I had seen and I had gotten my mind stuck on. So it was important to me that we had these beautiful marble tiles in a herringbone pattern. And then the shower and the rest of the room kind of took shape from there. We went with a nice pale gray cabinet with this fun antique mirrored look to just give it a little character in here. And then on the walls, instead of doing just a plain painted wall, we chose to do the shiplap, which turned out really fun and pretty in here that I think looked really nice with the mirrors and gave it that pop. So over in our tub, we had this big wall. My husband wanted to make sure that we had a big walk-in shower. It was his sort of vision to have a walk-through shower all the way through. So we knew we were gonna have this big wall that I wanted to, either one, I had to find a piece of art for, or two, we ended up being able to find this gorgeous sort of artistic tile that we framed out of marble to make it look like it was a neat piece of art. So above my tub, we have this really pretty tile work that I love the way that it turned out. And I love a bath. So this tub is one of my favorite places. The hardest thing to do is try to hide from my girls because they always want to either jump in with me or steal it. So it's such a relaxing spot for us to be. I found this piece of art recently that I just thought sort of gave the whole pop to the room. It's kind of a nice muted gray, but these women in here brought all the good colors and just sort of makes me smile every time I walk into the room. And I love this framed art for this space. Throughout the room, you'll see we use Wheezy towels. They make the best towels with the most beautiful monograms throughout. One of my favorite features of the towels is very simple, but they add this little extra piece of lining that makes it easy to hook and hang your towels dry. So again, so silly, so simple, but really such a nice feature throughout the room. And as well as the towels, they also make these nice bath mats that match the towels and kind of give it all a very cohesive look. So when we're at the sink, we have a nice cozy spot to stand and enjoy. Another piece in this bathroom that I absolutely love is our lighting up here. I picked out this beautiful sconce when we were in the planning stages, and I knew that it gave like the beautiful feminine look to really put the whole room together. So I can't tell you enough about if you're considering doing a beautiful piece of lighting fixture, go for it. It's one of the most like wow things you can do in a room, and one of the things that were so important to me throughout the entire house. This side of the house is where we enter from the garage and where the kids unload all their school stuff and all their sports equipment. So we built this set of lockers here for all the kids. So each kid has their own locker, their own shoe drawers, and then we have sort of a little landing space that they can plug in their electronics. We can hang school work, put calendar stuff. So this is sort of like the centralized space of the whole house that we're always just trying to keep clean and keep everything put together here. Okay, so when we were building this house and we knew we wanted lockers, I polled my Instagram followers and said, what do you think? Can I have open lockers, or is it a must to have closed doors? And guess what? Everybody said you will never regret having closed doors, because guess what? You can hide the mess. Each of their lockers, they can throw in their jackets, their ballet stuff, their soccer things, and all the mess is hidden. So when guests and company come over, I don't have to worry about them all looking beautiful and put together. I had these portraits done of the kids about a year ago, these black and whites that I absolutely love. We drove over to Fairhope. Frances Sadler, she's known for these gorgeous black and whites. And I captured all the kids, I think, so well. And these beautiful frames are from FrameBridge. So I sent them the photos, and then they had them all framed and matted for me, sent them right back, and they look so good in this space. I just adore it. Being on the water is probably my favorite part about being in the home. It's a lifestyle. We have 3 kids that we love to be outside with. Our family loves to be out on the boat, be on the water. Here in Gulf Breeze, we live about 5 minutes by drive to the beach. And we do go to the beach a lot, but more so we go by boat than we do by car. So we love to get out on our boat. We have a pontoon boat. It's we call it the party barge, and we just load up, and we can meet friends or hit different little islands along the way. And so spring and summer just bring me so much joy, because being out on the water is my favorite part about being in this house. But again, it's also being able to entertain and welcome our friends and family here at the house. We do holidays and random Saturdays. We love to have people over to share in our home and enjoy with our family. Welcome to our outdoor space. This is our grill sitting an extension of our indoor of the indoor of our house. When we were designing this house, we not only built a back porch for us, but we knew we wanted a side porch that felt like it was another living space that we could really sit and enjoy. We could watch TV, we could sit by the fire and sit out here with friends while we grilled and entertained. So that's exactly what this space has been, and we've been so happy. I fell in love with this furniture from Serena and Lily. It's all slip covered, so it's an outdoor furniture, but everything comes off, and I can throw it in the washer and bleach it, and it has turned out like looking brand new. So we've had this for over 3 years. They do get dirty in the winter, but again, it all goes into the washer and can come out looking brand new, and it feels amazing. So same with our rug. This rug, Serena and Lily, an outdoor rug. I've used a pressure washer, and even when it's been muddy and yucky, the pressure washer, it turned out almost brand new. It looks great. All right, welcome into our backyard, the space that we live in come summertime, and the kids just have a ball. We have the pool, as well as the whole back porch area that we really spend all of our time. As soon as the spring weather hits, we'll be dining outside. We're so happy to be here. We love this space so much, and this whole backyard feel where we get to look out in the beautiful Pensacola Bay and be living on the water. You know, I think what gives the home soul is the people within it. You know, it's not so much the home itself, but making the memories in our home. I think for me, again, having these young kids, we try to make every day something a little bit special. And I hope that people feel welcome in our home no matter what. Like I said, I think we have an open door that we want to bring people in to enjoy. Our kids can run around and have friends over. We play games like crazy. Around here, we love games, and the laughter and the love that I think is what makes the house a home. It is what gives the house a soul. It's not all the things in it, but the people in it. What home means to me is, again, a safe place for my family to be. It's a place that I can bring loved ones in and enjoy and be around the kitchen and serve food and bring laughter and make memories for everybody. There is nothing better to me than I love to cook, so making a big meal, having everybody around the kitchen and laughing and chatting and making memories that we will have forever. I think my kids, even being young, there's no doubt that they realize how much we love to have people and to share our home with them and to share it with their friends and the families that we've met through them. Absolutely, it brings me so much joy to have that in our home, I'd say.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.